Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Two shows for you today, one this morning, and then the Spurs review is back tonight at 7:30 p.m. Myself, the Danalist, Lubo, Luke, and maybe a few others as well for your entertainment. Guys and girls, first and foremost, a massive, massive congratulations to PSG, who are now the champions of Europe. And I don't think anyone can say they don't deserve to be. They absolutely battered Inter Milan 5-0 in the final. The biggest ever Champions League final scoreline. There's been a couple of bigger scores in the European Cup, but in this new format, I say new format, it must have been going for about 30 odd years now. This is the biggest ever scoreline. And condolences as well to just take a minute to think a couple of people did lose their lives last night during the celebrations in Paris. A number of people arrested, 192 people injured, and 2 people have lost their life. And there is also a policeman that is in a coma after last night's event. So I think it's only fair that we just take a second and say, hope that those families get all of the comfort and care they need, because this should never happen from football. This should never happen from protests, from victory parades. This should not be what football is about. So stay safe, people, when you're out there. And I'll be honest, it's why I don't like the thought of parades and those types of things. I just don't like it. But guys, girls, sure, we wish them all well. So PSG win the Champions League. All the talk this morning is about now who's going to win the Ballon d'Or. Dembele, I believe, is the bookie's favourites to win it. He's scored a bundle. He's assisted a bundle. He's talented. He can play on the right, the left, through the middle. And his work rate is utterly, utterly insane. So apparently Dembele is the favourite. Let's have a look before we crack into anything. Before we start talking about Tottenham Hotspur, let's have a little look at what's happening in the world of transfers. So Bayer Leverkusen have agreed the deal today to sign Mark Flecken, good goalkeeper, by the way, 10 million euros from Brentford. That is how you go and do a signing, isn't it? 10 million euros. Bayer Leverkusen have signed Mark Flecken from Brentford. Great signing. A great signing, and he'll be going to join Ten Hag, who is obviously the new manager of Bayer Leverkusen. PSG are trying to sign Franco Mastantuono. Now, if anyone has not seen this kid play, go and watch him. He is absolutely brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. Fabrizio Romano has said that there are going to be several top European clubs looking to sign the Argentinian gem. If you have not seen him, go and watch him. This boy can play. Seriously. In the last 2 hours, Maurizio Sarri is on the verge of becoming the new Lazio. He's becoming the new Lazio manager, as exclusively reported yesterday. Process on course to complete a 2-year deal. Now, of course, Sarri has already managed Lazio, and it does feel very much, doesn't it, that in Italy, they just seem to go round and round and round, managing the same clubs over and over again. Equally, Inzaghi, lots of talk about him. Romano has said that Simone Inzaghi is going to meet the Inter Milan board at the beginning of next week to discuss his future. The chances to part ways are concrete, with Al Hilal proposal available on the table. So we know that apparently the offer is up to £25 million to go and manage in Al Hilal. Again, lots of people in Europe will be interested in Inzaghi. I know that we'll have the silly people that now suddenly, because Inzaghi's lost the Champions League final, suddenly he's a terrible manager and no one wants him. Just remember how everyone felt at about 8 p.m. last night rather than 10 p.m. last night. The exact same as all the Ange in flip-flops from last Wednesday, when they hated Ange at 8 p.m. By 10 p.m, apparently he needs to stay and have our transfer budget. Football fans are very, very fickle. We know this. In other news, Donnarumma is talking about whether or not he's going to have a new deal. He said that he's going to go on holiday And then he will see in 2 weeks when he comes back. Luis Enrique has said that he would give the Ballon d'Or to Ousmane Dembele. He said the way he defended tonight, only that can be worth the Ballon d'Or. This is how you lead a team: goals, titles, leadership, defending, how he was pressing. Ousmane is my Ballon d'Or, no doubts at all, said Enrique, not Savva. Desiree Doué was man of the match. Again, what a sensational young footballer. Sod that. What a sensational footballer that is. And a massive shout out, the last but not least, to the PSG fans who put together an absolutely enormous banner of Luis Enrique carrying his daughter who passed away in 2019. And absolutely brilliant. What a lovely sentiment. Of course, his daughter passed away of a rare form of bone cancer in 2019. But they put a lovely banner together of him carrying her towards the Champions League trophy this year. So absolute fair play to the Parisians for getting that done. And that brings you bang up to date with everything that's going on. I had a little look at Plettenberg. Not a lot, is he saying, that's got anything to do with anything really at the moment. Let's just double check. Florian Plettenberg obviously gets all of the German stuff. Let's have a look. Just trying to see if there's anyone of note. Again, he's talked about Mastantano, that PSG want him. When better to try and sign someone than when you've just won the Champions League. Nothing else really coming from Plettenberg at the moment. A few internal transfers, and other than that, the last thing he said was that a full verbal agreement is nearly in place between Rayan Churkey and Manchester City. Hey, listen, it was one that we wanted, wasn't it? Rayan Churkey, brilliant playmaker, stroke, cutting in off the right wing. But, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, I'm just seeing Lionel Messi's goal from last night. What a goal that is. Yes, so what are we doing? What are Tottenham doing? When are Tottenham going to start joining in the transfer festivities, should we say? Let's be honest. The transfer window officially opens today, the 1st of June. But really, does it matter? Clubs are buying players all the time. It just means that they can't physically join until the 1st of June. So when are Tottenham Hotspur going to start getting involved? When are Tottenham Hotspur, all the talk, all of the noise, Leroy Sané, Eze, Carl Walker-Peters, all of these different names that are being bandied about, the Tyler Dibblings, whoever it is that you want or don't want, when are Tottenham going to start acting like the other clubs and going, now? Are we? We won the Europa League, giving us Champions League qualification. I would have expected Spurs to pounce, and we haven't as of yet. Chelsea have, Arsenal have, Liverpool have, Man City have. Are Tottenham another team that joins all of those lot other than Man U in the Champions League? When are we going to join that party? Where are we? Big up to my man Bryce. How you doing, buddy? Out there in Australia. I think he's one of the only Australians that likes me. So big up to you, Bryce. Said Savva question. Do you think it's pardon the pun, but telling that Spurs announced players like Werner on loan leaving, but didn't mention Tell? I'm honestly worried now we'll be buying him. Look, I think everybody knows my opinion on Matisse Tell. I think it's a really lazy signing if we get it done. I think, again, it's another one where it's easy to do. It's another one where he hasn't shown anything, if we're going to be brutally honest, as to why he should be at Tottenham. As to why he should be at Tottenham Hotspur next season. There's a lot of people that they say things like, I can see something in him. I'm like, what? He don't score. He doesn't assist. Like, what are we seeing in him? He hasn't got good hold-up play. His crossing is wayward. His finishing is poor. But hey, I agree. I am really worried that this is going to be a signing we make. I don't think we need this signing. I just don't. Big up to my man Blaine Dev, who has said Tell's loan doesn't officially enter the 30th of June. Okay, that makes sense. That's why nothing will be announced. I always find it, Sally. Sorry. I always find it interesting when players are loaned until like the end of June. You know, when you're thinking, what is it possibly you're doing in June? But hey, it is what it is. And off the back of that, big up to the Aussie Ange hater who's put in a super sticker. Very generous as always. Let's have a super sticker party, Aussie Ange hater. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Always very generous. And talking about generosity, Blaine Dev just sticking in £10 coolly and casually, like the quality guy that he is, has said it's a disgrace. The window's been open 11 hours and Spurs have done it. Is make Dan so permanent. Levy out. Vinay out. Ange out. Paratici out. Big up, Savva and chat. Blaine Dev, I want to see a signing. I want to see a signing that tells me this club are serious about getting better. I want to see a signing that tells me we had something planned. I've got a feeling, Blaine, that we're going to see in the next 2 weeks, I reckon our first signing will be Kyle Walker-Peters. I think it's going to be Kyle Walker-Peters. I'm telling you. Thank you very much for the super chat. You're a legend. Thank you, Blaine. You know we love you, dude. Thank you very much. I'm telling you, it's going to be Kyle Walker-Peters. That's what's going to happen at Tottenham Hotspur. Guys and girls, all of the talk has been about Leroy Sané, Tell, Kyle Walker-Peters. The worrying thing for me is I'm not really seeing us linked with anyone. Like, you know, normally when I look now, Liverpool are being talked about by Romano and Ornstein constantly. They're in chat. They're in talks with this player and that player. I'm not seeing anything from Spurs at the moment other than the Sané links. And that is truly, truly worrying. And it feels like the conversation that seems to be dominating since we've won is this whole, is the manager going to be here or not? And I just think this is wrong. I just think we've got to get over that now. I think we've got to get concentrating on what we're going to do in the transfer market. And I really think that we need to be getting a move on. We need to be getting our skates on. Let's put a poll in the chat. Let's put a poll out there. 1 second. Start a poll. Here we go. Who will be Spurs' first summer signing? Here you go. I'm going to give you some options. Ready? I'm going to go with Tell. I'm going to go with... I'm not going to count Dan So because he was an obligation. Tell. I'm going to go with Kyle Walker-Peters. And I'm going to go with Leroy Sané. And then I'm going to go with other. Okay? Get those votes in. Get those votes in. So it's who do you think will be our first summer signing? Is it Tell, Kyle Walker-Peters, Sané, or other? So just anybody else that you think it might be. We'll come back to that in a minute. Paul Pablo, I would rather Timo Werner than Matisse Tell. Correct. I would. And by the way, I do not want Timo Werner. I didn't want him the first time when I was called negative. I didn't want him the second time when I was told I don't understand. And I don't want him the third time. How far with Eze? I don't, what do you mean? Sorry. What do you mean? How far? What do you mean? Tell will be a good sign. Again, based on what? Again, this is what I don't understand. I've noticed in here, everyone who talks to me about Tell, they never tell me why. It's Tony Hall. Why? Why are we so bothered about Young? He's still young. He can still learn. All right, but why don't we get a player that's not young and doesn't need to learn? You have faith in Tell. I haven't seen anything. Niall, I agree with you. If Tell was so good, why have they bought Elise last year? They've already got Nabry, right? They've already got Musiala, and now they're looking at signing Matoma. What? Why? I agree with you, mate. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Mate, I think we will. I think we will. I think we will bring in Kyle Walker-Peters. I do. I think it's an easy deal. Homegrown, club trained. free transfer. It's got Tottenham written all over it. Now, I get it. I get the Kyle Walker-Peters signing if Ben Davies goes. I understand if you are going to bring in top players around him. And what I mean by that is if you can cover the right back and left back area with a free transfer that ticks off the homegrown and club trained, fine. But alongside that, that's got to be married with some top players coming in. That's got to be married, right? With top players coming in. It can't be that we bring in Kyle Walker-Peters and then more people at that level. Do you know what I mean? I'm comfortable with it. But like I said to Perchy and a few others this morning in my WhatsApp group, hang on, use this. I'll see if it helps. Oh, right, okay. So he done a breakdown for me of this morning of club trained players for Europe only, homegrown for Europe only, and then the non-homegrown. And then the ones that need to be registered versus the ones that don't need to be registered. And it goes to show, one, that we've got a massive squad, by the way. So there are going to be players that have to move out of this squad. And two, that we are teetering on the line when it comes to homegrown and club trained. We really, really are. C to the fourth said Savva, they are operating in the shadows to sign generational talents like Grays and Tell on a permanent. Yeah, the worrying thing is many a true word said in jest, all right? Many a true word said in jest. Morlar said, we've lost club-trained players and will again be way short for UEFA registration. So the way it was put to me this morning was this. The club-trained players for Europe next season are Austin, Devine, Scarlett and Walker-Peters, and the club trained, and the homegrown are Madison, Solanke, Danso, Johnson, and Spence. So bringing in Kyle Walker-Peters gets the club trained to 4. The club at the moment, it's just Austin, Devine, and Scarlett. Then you've got non-homegrown, which is Vicario, Kinski, Dragashin, Adogi, Romero, Porro, Van der Ven, Yang, Basuma, Bergval, Kulu, Saar, Bentancur, Solomon, Sun, Odeber, Richarlison, Hill, Tell if he signs. And then the not applicable registration would be Moore, Lancashire, Dorrington, and Gray. So he said right now we have 3 players over the registration criteria for Europe. So again, when you look at the size of the squad, players are going to need to go. Players are going to need to go. Players are going to have to come in. It's going to be a real balancing act like every single year. Andy said, I think Sane used the links for a better deal with Bayern. Let's get Eze done as quick as possible. Andy, I would love to get Eze done. I would love that. We just don't ever move quick, do we? Robert said, Sane, Eze, they won't come. However, we will sign Tell. Big up to Shane O'Neill with a super chat. Sorry. Thank you very much. Very generous on a Sunday morning. Who said, every year we expect change. We never learn. Yes, it is the hope that kills us, isn't it? It's the hope that kills us. It's we must get Champions League football. And then when we do, we're like, come on, where are the Champions League signings? Big up to you, Shane. That's very, very generous indeed. Unlike the likes that are not generous at all. 530 people in here, 103 likes. That means we have got less than 1 in 5 hit rate. Come on, guys and girls, smash that button. So far in the poll, who will be the first summer signing? Tell at 44%. Other is at 30%. Leroy Sane at 16%, 1-6. And Kyle Walker-Peters at 10%. We'll come back to that a little bit later. But Matisse Tell is winning at all. Not going to lie, Savva, these options are so bad I don't want to vote. No, man, Sane's not a bad option. The others, I get it. I get it. But look, I hear you, man. I've seen your reasoning in the last few days about Sane. But mate, listen, Elijah, you know what we want? I think you'll agree with me here, my man. I think I speak for every Spurs fan. I don't normally, but I'm going to speak for every Spurs fan. We want to be woken up one morning and go, We've signed Eze. We want that, right? We want that shock of, oh my God, we've signed Paulinho. You know, we want that all as a fan base. I just don't see it. I just don't see that we will. We were talking about free transfers and cheaper players before the season ended. There were players being bandied about like Jonathan David, who looks like he's going to Napoli. People like Liam Delap, who we know has joined Chelsea. And the more and more players you see go into these big clubs, and I think, what are we going to do? Because I think we need to do a lot. GKD has said, I don't understand why people would be happy with Tell or saying it would be good. We literally have enough youngsters. We need ready-made players right now. GKD, these fans who say, I don't mind Tell and Tell, right? I honestly feel like they think we're a Sunday league team. Like, why do we always talk about youth? We did this all last summer, but they're young, they'll grow. You know, we've had a whole year of Archie Gray, who hasn't grown into a central midfielder, right? We've had a whole year of Odegaard, who, for me, I don't see a lot there. You know, Yang at QBR, I don't know. You know, Donnelly's got to come back. You know, Mikey Moore. Do we need more? Do we need more 18, 19-year-olds? According to our fan base, we do. I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Where are we? Big up to my man Enrique. Not everyone in Australia hates me. There's a few. I'm not sure I'd be welcome, but hey, never mind. How? Paul, exactly. People are doing this off of hope. They have not seen anything of him in a Spurs shirt that makes them go, yes. He's got 1 assist in 20 appearances. Like, I just don't know what he does, but hey, it is what it is. Big up to Blaine. Said, to be honest, if we went out, got Walker Peters, David and Sane on free transfers, but then added a big marquee signing, I think that, mate, I've got no problem with that. As I said, if you get Walker Peters on a free, I understand why. I understand it. I get it. It's not glamorous, but I get it. But you've got to put it with a marquee signing. You've got to put it with some seasoned pros like David and Sane. But it doesn't look like we're going to get David. It looks like he's on his way to who's this? Football Insider. Tottenham decided to sack Angepostecoglou. I don't believe there's so many reports now. It's just getting silly, isn't it? Sane, Eze, then KWB. Dennis, if you said to me by the end of June, those are the 3 signings we would have made by the end of June, I'll bite your hand off for it. Proper winger, proper creative maverick, and then a fullback who we know can fill in and rotate and in both positions. Because he's got pace. I mean, sorry, it's Tony Hill, sorry, but if this is what we're doing, if we're basing that he's good because he can run fast, Timo Werner's got pace. I don't understand. I don't understand. Rob said, firstly, I want a club statement. Thanks for Ange for getting the monkey off our back. But now we need a coach. I just genuinely don't think it's coming. Yeah, I've just seen it. Let's have a look. I've just seen it saying he's going to get the Football Insider. I mean, Ash, how many reports a day? I mean, we send each other back and forwards of he's going, he's staying, he's going, he's staying. At the moment, I think that we just need to crack on with the transfer window. You know, I really do. Mr. AJ, big up to you. It's a question for you. 5 players you would sell and 5 players you would bring in. Oh, off the top of my head, I'd sell Christian Romero if he doesn't want to be here. I'd sell Kulusevski. I would sell Basuma or Sarr. I would sell one of them. I would sell Richarlison. And I would sell Brian Hill, Scarlett. There's a lot I would sell. There's many I would sell. I think I'd sell Spence. Not because I don't like him. I just don't feel like he's been treated properly by Ange. And I think that he could go and be a first-team regular somewhere. And who would I bring in? As I said, I'd love to see Paulinho. I'd like Sane. I'd like Eze. For me, if Romero goes, I'd like to see someone like a Guehi or a Lacroix. I'd like somebody. I'd like somebody like who else? A Kumbala at the back. Like they were saying the other day, a couple of the centre halves at Roma. I really like the likes of Undakar, the likes of Mancini. So listen, there's lots of players and options. I mean, let's see. Boubacar at Villa, running into the last year of his contract, and Villa need to sell players. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, Villa are going to have to sell. Let's see what they do. But I'm not sure how reliable I'm making a lot of these sources on any players and any of the manager talk, if we're going to be completely honest. And for all those that think I'm just Ange out, look at the video I did yesterday about Ange being our manager. I mean, in no way, shape or form is Paulinho the same as Højbjerg. Sorry. Sorry. I don't get this at all. I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. Savva, I am worried about the Super Cup with PSG. I won't worry about it now, mate. I mean, listen, it's so far away. I don't know what's worth worrying about. But yeah, listen, I don't want to play PSG. I mean, it's great that we're playing the best teams because we won a trophy. But this team is frightening. The way they ripped open Inter Milan, who don't even play a high line, what are they going to do to us? Notorious PIG, big up to you, my man. Listen, I think this deal is going to depend on whether or not we bring in Walker Peters. If Ben Davies stays, you've kind of got left back covered. If Spence stays, you've got right back covered. If one of them leaves, you're going to need somebody like a Kyle Walker Peters, right? So for me, I'd like to see Davies go there. He's been a really good player for us in relativity, if that makes sense. In context, he's done a good job over the years, but for me, being in now a bit too long. Go to Wrexham, give him the armband, let him be one of the best players in the Championship, and let him lead that team up the table. That's what I would do. I've got nothing against Ben Davies, but I do think at some point we need to move on from these types of players. Big up to Blaine Dev. How very generous of you putting in 5 Football Heritage TV memberships. That is very, very generous indeed. Now, those 5 memberships went to GKD, Ed's Mancunian Therapy, Paul Summerfield, Vindaloo, and Johnny. So please, I'm sure you've all said thank you very much, but if you haven't, please do. And please, let's smash the like button, people. 600 of you and 155 likes. Guys, if Blaine Dev could be that generous, he's stuck in a tenner and 5 channel memberships, which is about another £12, £15. Surely you guys can smash a like button that is free. So come on, people, smash that button. And Blaine, you're a legend. I'll WhatsApp you a bit later. Thank you, bro. Really appreciate you. Tony, bang on. Bang on. And Tony, I put this up the other day, right? I was playing a little bit. No, I wasn't physically playing Football Manager. I just meant in my head. And I did this. Right? You all saw me do this. I did it live on screen, right? Look at the difference a team with Eze and Sane makes. And then I put in Paulinho, but you can put whoever you want in there. Look at the difference that makes. Eze, Maddison, and Sane behind a striker. How much more frightening than that, than Brennan Johnson, one wing, Son and Tell the other. Look at that. This is what we should be striving for. I'm not saying you don't have to do any other transfers, but this is what Spurs should be striving for. Teams wouldn't want to play against Maddison, Eze, and Sane. They wouldn't, because it's got everything. It's got guile, it's got pace, direct running, creativity, technique. They'll all drop into different positions. Madness. But hey, that's just me. Look who it is. It's Danny. How are we, Dan?
Morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How you feeling, Stan? A bit ropey last night.
Oh, no, still recovering.
Oh, mate. Oh, mate. Is that why we're not seeing your sexy face on camera?
Yeah. If I look worse than I sound, put it that way.
Oh, sorry, people. There's no eye candy. No eye candy for you today. No eye candy.
No. On the last bits of the COVID, I've had that over a couple of days, and the past 2 days proper kicked the out of me. So just on the way back as such.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up. Listen, big up to you. Absolutely. Listen, hang on. What's this? Are these Tottenham people? Sorry, there's something on TV. Are they all wearing Spurs shirts? What? Sorry, I'm going mad. Dan, it's got silly in it. Nearly every report now out there is Ange is going. Spurs are keeping him. Carl Walker-Peters is coming. Spurs don't want Carl Walker-Peters. Are you disappointed rather than shocked that Spurs haven't done anything so far? Are you disappointed that we're not doing what Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea? Is it more disappointment than shock?
How can I be disappointed when I didn't expect anything different in that aspect? I mean, the Carl Walker-Peters thing, I don't think it's a bad transfer. I don't think it's a bad idea for the excess reasons that come with it. If it ends up that he's the first one, because he's the free transfer and he's there, then fine. But it's what comes with it. He's not an improvement to the first 11. He's an improvement for certain other things we need for the squad. We need players, at least 2 to 3 players that walk into that first 11. And with what you said earlier, I mean, Paulinho is definitely one, Paulinho, that I would definitely be having a look at. And I think we could stand a chance on getting him. If Sane is there, snap him up over Tel all day long. And Eze, that one just goes without saying. But the team you just put up there a second ago, it already, with that change of players on there, it already looks tenfold better than it did already.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? And this is the crazy thing, Dan. You know, we spend a lot of time throughout the season, a lot of people going, oh my God, Spurs need 7, 8, 9 new players. I don't think we do, Dan. I've always maintained that throughout this season, that I don't think we have got a bad squad. I don't think we are a terrible team. But what we do just need is a couple of those big players that make the difference. You know, the Ezes, the Paulinhos, the Sanes. Are you hopeful that any of those 3 are signing for Tottenham?
I can't see why we can't go for all 3 of them, tell the truth.
Yeah, but will we?
Well, that's the different story in it with Spurs. If you're going to say will we, and I go by history, then no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? I just, for once, you know, last time we were in the Champions League, if I'm not wrong, that was Conte that took us into the Champions League, and then we went out and bought Richarlison. We went out and bought was it Spence, Richarlison, a few others, no one of real note. I think Basuma came in. Is the fear for all Spurs fans that we're just going to go back to what we've always done whenever we've made Champions League, buy a few mediocre players, and then we're going to praise them to the hilt? Then when we don't do well, it'll be Daniel Levy's fault for not buying better players.
It's how it usually works, isn't it? I mean, this one, I think there's a couple of ways you can look at this one on where is Levy taking an extra 10 days, 7 days, whatever you want to say, because he's making that decision on whether Ange stays or goes. And then he's going to go for players of whatever he's got a deal sorted out, if he's got a deal sorted out with someone else. Or should he just be going out there getting the players while making the other decision on the background? It's what decision makes more sense. If he knows what he's doing and sticking with Ange, then he should already be out there on the players. But if he does decide to get Ange and get another manager in, maybe that other manager doesn't quite want one of them players like Ange would, but then Ange did turn down Eze in the first place. So,
do you think there is a decision being made in the background? Like, obviously, everybody and their dog right now is doing reports about, oh, Levy's thinking about it. I just kind of get the feeling he's staying, and there isn't really anything going on. Where are you on this? And I know you don't want Ange, so I'll remove that from your thinking if you can. Just from a club point of view.
I mean, taking what I want out of it, that's easy enough, and just looking on it from an actual. Don't be surprised if Ange is gone. I still think there's more chance he's gone than he stays. I'm not saying there's a high difference in it, but I'd still say at the moment I'm saying 60-40 he's gone. I still think he's going to go, but it's who we have that comes next to it, basically.
I mean, when you look at the manager odds, the bookies have made Frank the overwhelming favourite. I know there's a lot of people. I mean, there was a lot. Dan, we love a theory, right? We love a theory. There's a lot of theories in the last week that Inzaghi is the man, and Inzaghi, we were waiting for the Champions League final. Now, all of a sudden, loads of people that I've seen praising Inzaghi suddenly think he's the worst manager that's ever lived because of last night. Do you think there's anything to the Inzaghi bit, or do you think if he leaves into next week, it's going to be for Al Hilal on £25 million a year?
Well, again, that's where you go to the money side of it, isn't it? I mean, if he's blatantly in the game for the money, like I think a lot of managers are, and players, like it's a lot more mercenary now than it ever was, in my opinion, then who's really going to turn down 25 million a year, even if you just go and do it for a year sort of thing? But then maybe he's interested in coming to the Premier League and doing something different. I can't say I know how the manager thinks in that aspect.
Yeah, of course. I do find it quite funny, Dan.
All day long.
But yeah, mate, I find it really funny. Football fans seem to change their opinions that, you know, every single time they have breakfast in the morning. It's gone from how good is Inzaghi? That man would sort us out. Paratici knows him. Gosh, if they lose that final, we can take him. To most of the reports, most of the comments I'm seeing from people is, I don't want Inzaghi anywhere near Spurs. He got schooled. Tactically, he's rubbish. And I'm like, how quickly it changes, Dan. How quickly we change.
What just happened there is exactly Spurs. What just happened there is you saw a lot of Spurs supporters who would have taken, even if they're Angian as such, who would have quite happily taken Inzaghi. It only takes 90 minutes to change a lot of Spurs supporters' minds. And there's another proof of it again.
It's mad, isn't it?
90 minutes and all of a sudden he's not good enough. All of a sudden he's not experienced enough for this and that and whatever. Within 90 minutes. Same as it, a lot of it changed with Ange within 90 minutes.
I mean, I do find it funny. Like, if we're going to live in this world now, Dan, and obviously this was the debate we were all having. I think you were asleep, but this was the debate some of us were having last night on our WhatsApp group. If we're going to just say that, and if a manager doesn't win a trophy, yeah, that they're a bottler, that they're not good, that you don't want them, then doesn't that make every manager in world football a bottler? Ancelotti this year, crap, surely. Bottler, didn't win anything, rubbish. Pep Guardiola this year, bottler, didn't win anything, crap, rubbish, right? Isn't this a dangerous road we're going down?
Well, what is it? If you do the percentage of it, there's a lot more managers that don't win things than do win things.
Right, of course.
It's not quite like the play. It's not like quite the player side of it as such. You'll have a lot of players out there that are won things, that have won World Cups, and they're not even good enough for Premier League teams as such.
Yeah, man. I just find it mad. Listen. I mean, that will go down as an awful day in the management career of Inzaghi. I don't think anyone can doubt that.
Without a doubt.
Suddenly, we've gone from serial winning Inzaghi that everyone wanted, and if Paratici can get him, that would be amazing, to wouldn't want Inzaghi. And it's like, where's that come from? Like, losing a Champions League final, did that make Poch a bad manager? Like, the Poch lost the Champions League final. You know, Pep Guardiola has lost Champions League finals. You know, Thomas Tuchel has lost Champions League finals. And we just suddenly get, they're all crap. They're all crap. None of them can manage. You can't win every tournament you're going for, Dan.
No. And especially if you haven't got the team to do it as well as such. I mean, if we're talking about Inzaghi, that whole thing just went totally wrong from top to bottom, basically, from the way the manager started it, I think, where he played a bit more inverted as such. When I say inverted, they played tighter, and a way a couple of players got caught out like they don't usually get caught out. The whole thing just went wrong for in every means and manner. down to the players. I don't think turned up properly. The manager didn't get it right. Everything. PSG were just superior in every single way.
I mean, that for me was the perfect storm for PSG. Everything from minute one just seemed to be, this has got PSG written all over it. You know, having not won it before, you know, having let go the big stars to build a team rather than have the Mbappes, etc. You know, Enrique, you know, doing another treble with a second team. It just seemed that it had them written all over it. And by the way, Dan, this is what the owner of PSG has just said. So Nasser Al Khalifi has said, now our mission is to win the FIFA Club World Cup and then the Champions League again. That is our mentality.
I mean, for me, it's about being realistic, and on a realistic manner, Spurs have not got. We are not going to be winning cups every bloody season, but we should be there and around it, and have got the capability to win a cup more than once every 17 years, for God's sake. But I also think with the size of the squad, on how people keep saying how we are this big we are this big team, this big club, top 8 in the world, everything else, we should be fighting for this, A, B, C, D, whatever else. And then all of a sudden it's perfectly fine for 17th and to win a cup. I don't think that is for a club of our size. We should be fighting and winning cups here and there, and also fighting for top 6 place easy, if we go by size of the club. I think you're on mute.
Sorry, the dog was just barking. They're just going out for a walk, so it might be very loud as they get to the front door. One sec. Can you all hear that? If you can, I apologize. This comment sums it up for me perfectly from Carlos. Big up to you, Carlos. Said, so people can see Inzaghi is tactically poor, yet don't see it with Ange. And isn't that it, Dan? The guy that gets to the Champions League final is tactically poor, but the guy that's lost 26 games in all competitions this season, people want to keep because he isn't tactically poor. Mad, isn't it?
I think the one you can put on Inzaghi this year is when 1 or 2 games really, really mattered, it didn't go right. That was 1 or 2 games in the league that they should have won that cost them that league. So you can say that. And the way he went about that and the team went about that for Inter just totally got it wrong as well. So, okay, you can say on a big moment he got it wrong. But the man just finished second in the league and got to the Champions League final, for God's sake. That's harder to do than finishing 17th and winning the Europa Cup. Mate,
it's mad.
In my opinion.
No, but Dan, it's not even your opinion. Factually, it's harder to do. it's.
I mean, the other one I say that people don't like is, as from the start of last season in the Europa Cup, if anything, these days where you're not having the hand-me-downs from the Champions League anymore, you could even argue that the FA Cup or League Cup is harder to win than the Europa, if you want to put the hardest 5 teams you could come against in there. It's definitely took the Europa down a stage or 2, but at the end of the day, you've got to give him credit where it's due. He could only play who he had to play. He got his tactics right in the end, and he'd done it right. Okay, so we put this 17th behind us. It's done, it's dusted. People say, forget about it. Right. If that's done and dusted, then so's the Europa Cup. It's done and dusted. It's over. Forget about it. If that's what we have to say about the league as well. Doesn't that work on both sides? Like, you can't just remember what you want to remember and forget what you want to forget. So, right, we screwed the league. We got the Europa Cup right. Okay. I then look on it for the future because I want improvement. And I just don't think Ange is the manager that is going to improve us in the league and also given a chance of winning the cup at the same time. That's all it comes down to for me, basically. I want improvement now. I'm happy that we won the cup, but I'm not satisfied. I want more. Call me greedy, but I want more. I want better.
Dan, I don't think it's about being greedy. Dan, I don't think it's about being greedy. I think, listen, everyone's happy we won the trophy, but at the same time, You can't see it. You can't see your club side lose nearly every week in the Premier League and be happy. Surely, I don't get that. That as a mentality, I can be happy over here, but I can also be unhappy over here. And for me, the Premier League is your bread and butter. The Premier League shows you that over a sample size of 38 games, how good are you? Not in a cup run, but over 38 games, how good are you? And we got the answer. Nope. Over 38 games, we weren't good. And that's me being polite, Dan. That's me being very polite, right? So all these people saying, I think he needs a chance to start next season. They've already got their answer to what he does in the league. They've already seen the evidence. So next year, if it doesn't work, they can't be turning around and going, oh, actually, Ange isn't the right man, because you want him. If you want him now, it's like me. I say this all the time to you, Dan. It's like if my wife cheated on me every weekend and I still keep her, right? I can't then complain when she goes out and cheats on me again. No. Do you see what I'm saying?
I get what you mean. Look, I don't think you can judge a manager properly by a cup. I think you judge a manager properly over a league, basically. And yeah, it's all good to win in a cup, but then that's like saying judging a player because he had because he scored a hat-trick in a semi-final and a final, but then only scored another 3 games during the season. Is he now a quality player because he scored those 2 hat-tricks where it really mattered? You know, that is where I believe you have to judge over the league shows how good you are, basically. A cup, well, we've seen teams doing terrible, i.e. like Man U and Spurs, 16th and 17th get to the final in the Europa Cup, which sums up a lot of other things for me as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't think he's got what we need for the league to take us to the next level in the league, which would be now a top 6, top 7 finish sort of thing, and also fight for another cup. The other question I do ask to a lot of people is I understand it's about winning things at the end of the day, but I just feel sadly on realism, football don't work like that anymore. It should do, but it doesn't. There's a lot of things it should, but doesn't. If you can't keep up in that top 4 place, or top 5 now even for the Premier League, you're going to slowly slip down further and further and further and further. And we don't want to do that. The thing I said at the start of this season is this season isn't going to go great. I said 7th or 8th. I said because he's not going to have those first 10 games that he had in the last one to cover his arse. And lo and behold, did that show. The statement I'm going to make for next season here and now, if he is here, he's now not going to have that 2-tier Europa Cup to cover his arse to get him in that Champions League.
Right, he's playing in the Champions League. Yeah.
He isn't going to have that to cover it. And the last thing I want to mention on it is, I'm sorry, I still can't go with a manager that basically makes the season irrelevant from December.
First of all, I don't believe that he did that. I think that is just the excuse he's coming out with because of how bad we were.
I'm only going by what you said.
No, I know you are. Like I think a lot of fans have lapped up this. Oh, well, from January we knew the league wasn't important. Okay, well in February you won 3 league games, mate. So why did we win 3 league games in February if the league wasn't important? I don't buy this at all. And if you need to throw half a league campaign to beat AZ Alkmaar, Frankfurt, and Bodo Glimt to get to a final, then you're not a good manager. If you can't balance those games. Now, what I'd say about is this. When people are talking about, like people in the chat are going, oh, well, why Silva? Why Frank? Why Glasner? What have they got over Ange? Football, yes. The aim of elite sport is to win a trophy. And you know what? When you're living in that moment, Dan, that moment is sensational. In that moment. But you go and speak to, again, this is the thing. This is, again, I've had the luxury of working for a couple of Premier League clubs, right? This is where I've had the luxury of seeing the mentality of people that work in a professional club. They won't think like that, right? They don't think like the fans. The aim of the club is to get better at everything, not just Spurs, every club. So when people say to me, why those managers over Ange? Because look at the league. You can't be 17th. You can't be losing 22 league games in 26. You've got to be organised. You've got to be drilled that Spurs are not. You've got to be coaching the young players coming through that Spurs are not, right? You've got to be developing players, making them better, which I don't think anyone's got better under Ange. So, yes, you can take the hype and the euphoria of winning a trophy in this isolated moment, Dan.
The moment.
In terms of why a professional football club exists, why they built the stadium, why they built the training ground, all these other things over here are what I think the Silvers and the Franks and the Glasners will actually do. They will implement philosophy. Yeah, they won't make us embarrassed every weekend. They won't throw the league games because they're in a cup. They will coach. So for me, that's why I would have another coach over him.
I think it also comes down to that point where it's not just football, it's life. There's certain things you can look at because it's a short-term problem, so you sort the short-term problem out. But then there's always, for me, if you want to succeed in football, in life, in anything, you've got to have a long-term plan. You got to look further ahead than 5 minutes. You got to look further ahead than maybe one season. You got to try. The further you can plan ahead, the more chance I think you've got of getting things right. You can also say the more you plan, the more that can go wrong as well, because of the more plans you've got. But you've got to look further ahead. And I think at the moment, we've just sort of gone numb to the moment and are just looking one step ahead, not looking 5 steps ahead like we should be, sort of thing. And again, I just don't think he has got what it takes. I'm grateful for what he's done and brilliant for what he has done. Fair play to the man. You can't take it away from him. He won us a Europa Cup, for God's sake. But the other point I will also make with that as well is, like I asked a few people, some people stick by their guns, fair enough. I mean, on Stell's side here, I mentioned him here. Fair play to him, he's sticking to his guns. He made this statement 3-4 months ago that if Ange wins the Europa Cup, he wants to give him another chance. So fair play, he's sticking to himself on that one. But I've seen a lot of other people say, come love nor money, even if this man wins us a cup at the end, he's got to go. And then all of a sudden he's won us a cup and now they're saying he deserves a chance.
Yeah.
So I'm going to half stick up for Stell on this one. I can't say I agree with him, but I'm going to stick up for him because he's standing by what he said. And
hang on, Dan. Let me just interject there. I understand that. And by the way, this isn't just Stell. Stell's in our WhatsApp group, so obviously we speak to him more about it. But this isn't just Stell. This is loads of people. Right? And Stell's a big boy. He'll come on and fight his corner, and we have that debate.
Sure he will.
The problem with it, Dan, again, not about Stell. The problem with people with this theory is they're now just abandoning everything they didn't like about the manager. So they're now putting to the side that they know he's not a good coach. They're putting to the side that they know his tactics aren't very good. They're putting to the side that he's not developed any players. They're putting to the side that he doesn't give the youth a chance. So all of these things that people said, well, this manager isn't for me because of X, Y, Z. Now it's, but he won a cup. None of that matters. That's where I can't make it work in my head, Dan, because all of those things over here matter.
I agree. The only reason I mentioned Stell on that one is because he's obviously the biggest one on here, basically, with that sort of attitude. And he's standing by his guns on what he stated 4 months ago. So fair play in that.
Unlike this flip-flop, Dan, who on the morning of the final, on the morning of the final, even if Ange wins today, he's got to go, but he's got to win it for us. And then suddenly 90 minutes later, I'd keep Ange. I love these people, man. Love them.
The two sets of questions that I have for a lot of people, I've asked people, is okay. A lot of people have the attitude of only winning cups matters. Okay, it should be the thing, but it's just not how football works. Sadly, if he would have won the League Cup and finished 17th, or even the FA Cup and finished 17th, would so many people have still been Ange? I still think a hell of a lot of this, give him another chance, he deserves another chance, is purely because that Europa Cup gave us that scapegoat to the Champions League.
Of course. If it had been the League Cup.
But all cups matter, don't they?
But I'm backing your point up. If it had been the League Cup that doesn't get us Champions League qualification, would they still be saying the same thing?
That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm being half sarcastic by saying like, well,
I know.
but every cup matters, doesn't it? And the other thing, this is just football for a fact on how it is now. Where are we as a club going to get further in life over the next 3 years? Finishing 10th, 12th, and say 15th, and winning 2 FA Cups, or finishing top 5 and getting Champions League for the next 3 years, with maybe a league cup in there as such.
Right.
What one is going to take us further as a football club? What one is going to get us more money to spend? What one is going to get us a better option of managers? What one is going to get us a better option of players? Now, I know how a lot of people are going to reply to this. Oh, yeah, but Daniel Levy. But yeah, hang on a minute. This is where my other side comes into it now, where I'm struggling with a few things here. As all people have gone on about, a lot of people for a very long time is they want Levy to do what is correct for the football. Not the business, not this, not that. So now when people now go and say to me, yeah, but Ange deserves a chance. Okay, he does deserve a chance for what he's done if you want to go by morals. But for me, you're now asking Levy to do what is morally correct and not what is correct for the club, which is contradicting things.
Exactly.
The way I see it personally. I know others see it different and might have a different side to it. Maybe I just don't get it properly. But there's a lot of contradiction in it.
Dan, if people have not wanted Ange for 2 years because they don't rate his management and his coaching, his tactical ability, the question I've got for them is, why does winning the Europa League change that? And again, I'll go to this point of, and by the way, anybody in the chat that's just joined, I don't believe this Football Insider article that I've seen. Big up to you, Paul. Listen, there's so many articles that fly around the internet, you never know. This isn't what I'm talking. I'm not talking about that article, by the way, before anyone thinks I believe some random publication. But Dan, that's the question I want to know from these people, right? Ange Postecoglou had to come away completely from his own philosophy to get us over the line to win that title. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking that, Dan. I'm not knocking it. But then that tells me that what he's been coaching for the last 2 years, he doesn't believe in, the players don't believe in, and he knows it doesn't work. So I'm asking a question to all those that are now Ange in because he won a cup. What's going to change? What's going to change? Because it doesn't work. His football doesn't work.
Over a season and a season and a half, it's proved it hasn't. So, I mean, the other thing is that I do find funny over it is like where we've gone over the season, like of managers, we would rather have this and that. Again, you get a lot of Spurs fans that start going on about a Spurs philosophy. And for me, philosophy is just bullshit at the end of the day. I don't care about philosophy, like of history of a football club on how it's meant to play anymore. This is 2025, not 1965. And no, I don't want this manager because he plays pragmatic football, defensive football. There's been a lot of people out there who have preached on about how they would rather Ange's style of play of going for a game and losing 6-3, for instance, than scrimping and scraping games 1-0. Yeah, and I bet you a lot of people shut up and didn't mention nothing against Eintracht Frankfurt and the game against Man U, where we went totally against the Spurs philosophy. But those people that was also preaching on YouTube's and other things that under no circumstances would they ever want to see Spurs play against the Spurs philosophy like that. That's just why Ange's our man. I bet you they haven't got a bad word to say about what he done in the final. Again, it contradicts things. This is where you need a manager that can adapt to the right time.
Of course. But again, does it, these fans, I don't think they watch football. Does it change with more quality of depth and experience? You do realize his tactics. I can't even do it with Phil. I can't do it. This guy all year, by the way, Ange out, Ange out, Ange out, Ange out. I've got screenshots from you the morning of the final saying, even if he wins tonight, he's got to go. He's not good enough. And then because he won against, I mean, let's be fair, Dan, this was a fucking woeful Man United team, right? And now suddenly it's, but maybe with better players. I'm sorry. Our squad compared to those squads above us should never have been where it was. So this is just, it's so, people like this, I can't take them seriously. Sorry, Phil, you're a lovely guy, but how can I take your football opinion seriously when at 8 p.m. last Wednesday, it was one thing, 10 p.m. last Wednesday, it was something else. If 2 hours changes your mind on an opinion of something, that scares the shit out of me. Sorry, Dan, I don't know if that's harsh, but that scares me when people do that.
90 minutes, even if it's a great 90 minutes, isn't going to change my overall opinion on a manager.
No.
Now, okay, if he stays with us the season and then gets us in, let's say, top 6 and gets us to semi-finals or even a final or even win a cup, then I'll stand back on everything I've said. But again, that's going to take a season to do that, not 90 minutes.
It's absolutely... I listen, as I said, if anyone is Angin, look, I know who is proper Angin because they've been Angin all this time. They're the ones that like to go, you're in the mud, blah, blah, blah. We told you. I respect them. They haven't changed. All the people that have changed their minds suddenly, like Ange is going to be this brilliant tactical genius now. Dan, the man is 60 this year, if I'm not wrong. Right? If I'm not wrong, I think Angepostecoglou is nearly 60 years of age. And we think suddenly he's going to change because he's won a European final. I'm just baffled. I just don't know how these are grown-ups. These are grown-ups that have seen the way Ange plays for years and gone, maybe it changes. Why? Why does it maybe change now? What's changed? And if it does change, Dan, here's one for you. If it does suddenly change his tactics and we get solid and hard to beat and put a defensive midfielder, doesn't that show before everything everyone said about his football for 2 years has been absolutely crap?
It says that as well, doesn't it? There's so many different ways you can go about it as such. I mean, even if he does change everything and it does work, you can still sit here with a frustration of like, why did that take you nearly 2 years to learn that?
No.
This is where I've had the question with him the whole time. Is it that he's actually that, I mean, what's the right word to use? But is it just that his football knowledge really isn't that high? Or is it just that he's that bloody stubborn?
I think
and
he's
that is the
bloody
question
stubborn.
where for me, it's been one or the other. There's at times where I've looked at it and I thought he just hasn't got a clue. And there's been other times where I've looked at it and you can see, I just think it's being stubborn. But the fact that he's gone and totally went the total opposite way. I mean, against Man U, for me, we didn't even play counter-attacking football. We just went 10 behind and we managed to take our chance when we got it, basically. That wasn't even counter-attacking football for me. And
do you know how you know he is intelligent, Dan? This is why it's stubbornness. He is intelligent. He knew that his style of football wasn't going to win him the Europa League. That's why he changed in the latter stages of the Europa League. He came away from Ange's style. He's not silly. But then he goes back to this vanity project in the Premier League, week in, week out, of being wide open. And then we're watching our team concede 3-4 goals every week, whatever, and going, oh, yeah, but don't worry, we're in Europe. It's like, yeah, but what about all those people that have paid for a season ticket? Do they get their money back, Dan, for the league?
Well, the league was irrelevant anyway, wasn't it?
Well, there you go. So if you're a Spurs season ticket holder, do you want money back for all the irrelevant games? Apparently,
if my manager had just, well, like he has, if I was a season ticket holder paying anything from what are they, 1,500, £2,000 plus for a season ticket, and the manager turns round and then basically says from December that the season was pretty much irrelevant and they've blown it, I can't say I'm impressed with that, where I'm paying £2,000 for a bloody season ticket. I mean, it's like the debate I had with a few yous on it, where I said the previous 2 games before that final was irrelevant because the one that really mattered, that was going to make or break the season for us, was the Europa Cup. But then you, along with others in that, all have the other different attitude with it as well, which we're all entitled to, of every game matters. Every game is meant to, you are there to win. And a lot of people who also said every game matters, no matter what, whether it's the last game of the season or mid-season or whatever, every game is there. You should be there to win. All of a sudden, the season don't matter now, that even though the manager said it's irrelevant because we won a cup.
Yeah.
It contradicts itself again.
Look, I just don't get it. You know, I think these people as well are saying that 90 minutes is the difference between keeping a manager or not. You know, 90 minutes difference was the difference between Spurs finishing 17th and having nothing and winning and winning the Europa League. And I think that's a real dangerous game to play. But listen, as I said, I don't think he's going anywhere. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. I think he's staying. I don't know. I'll be honest. Dan, I'll be honest, you know me, I'll try always be as honest as possible. I don't know whether or not that's me in my own head with reverse psychology, trying to convince myself he's staying so that when he leaves, I'm happier. I don't know. But at the moment, what I do know is if they do release him this week, it's going to be sheer pandemonium at this football club and the fan base, isn't it? It's going to be utterly crazy. And YouTube, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Right.
I mean, with what he said and that, like what you said, with what he said, it probably is bullshit and whatever else. But then it goes back to what I was saying quite before then, if you might remember, on how can I take this manager seriously? Now, I know managers have to say certain things, contradict certain things and whatever, same as players do and whatever. But how many times has this manager said something? I mean, what was it he said last season, if I remember correctly, or was it at the start of this season? 10th place in the cup isn't good enough.
Mm. Yeah, so he told me not to be happy with 17th and a trophy. Yeah,
yeah,
he told me not to be happy, but the Ange fans.
And I understand how football, being a manager and being a player as well, with what you say, there's a lot of BS in it anyway. We all know that. Yeah, there's certain things they get told to say. I felt there's certain things that Ange got told to say, and certain things where he just spoke too much. Where how many times did the fella shoot himself in the back of the head, let alone the feet? Yeah. And it's just, and then he makes us. That's quite a solid statement to make, in my opinion. That 10th place in the cup isn't good enough at a club of our size. Yeah. Whereas the lack of what we've won and everything, I think if that would have been 10th, if that would have been 10th place in the cup, I'd have been happy. Okay, I'll take 10th place for that happily. 17th is a different story. The fact that the only reason we don't get relegated is because of the 3 teams below us were that bad. But when he blatantly stands there and says that 10th place in the cup is not good enough by his standards, it's just contradicted everything.
Of course, look, and as I've said, there's a number of, as I said, in the moment, having just won a trophy, I understand why everyone is so, oh my God, he must stay. It's emotional. But if they really look deep down, do they want their football club to be one that finishes 17th? Is that Europa League win so prestigious that it has allowed us to be that bad in the league? Because if Conte or Jose or Poch had done that in the league, they would have been sacked. Do you know what? Poch was sacked when he was 14th in the league. Right? Jose was sacked 4 points off the top 4 and in a final. Conte was sacked top 4. But this manager, for some reason, we can say, don't worry. He threw the league to worry about Europe. No one else has ever thrown the league to concentrate on Europe because it's important.
Okay. Again, okay, with this season, do you know what? As I said, I can let it go because we've been that desperate for a cup at Spurs and whatever. Okay, I can let it go. But again, I just don't think Ange's got it to take us to the next level. But with the people out there who are saying they would accept 15th for the next 3-4 years to win a League Cup or an FA Cup in at least, say, 3 out of them 4, then the way that's going to bring us down in the league and money and everything else, I'll go back to what I said on a show of yours the other day, then people need to shut up and stop moaning about their Archie Grays and need to shut up and stop moaning about their Odeberts. because they are the type of players that we are going to be attracting, finishing 14th, 15th and winning a League Cup or an FA Cup, even if it's 3 years on the trot.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have to be happy with your Archie Grays and that. And then when we're getting in players consistently like that, who are not ready for the next level yet, and definitely are not ready up to take us to a Champions League level, well, then we're going to get stuck in this predicament where we're down there. And how do we get out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think it's interesting. I mean, like with Anastasis saying it's a modern trend to call a change of heart flip-flopping. To say Ange deserves a chance to start the season, to not rock the boat with the players and split the fan base is sensible and balanced. Sure. Now, Anastasis, look at it from another side, which could be sensible and balanced. That if this is the manager you want to give your transfer budget to, whether it's, I don't know, 125, 150 million, then if it starts badly, people will start and call for his head. Now, all of a sudden, you're 10, 15 games into a season. The pool of managers to choose from to replace him is smaller than it would have been in the summer. And that manager coming in, you've got a Ruben Amorim situation. Managers coming in might not want some of those players. Players might not like that style of play. You've got to give yourself the best possible chance. So I agree with you, sensible and balanced, but sensible and balanced can go the other way as well. Donna Sam just coming in here and laughing. I think it's always good when people give great insight into their comments by laughing. Very mature, Donna Sam. Well done to you. Thank you for that. Phil Goy said, smash the like, subscribe to this fraud Savva. I mean, you can call me a fraud, mate. I will bring up all the comments of what you've said if you need me to, Phil. If you want to call me a fraud, mate, on my show, I will bring up all the comments of you all season saying Ange has to go, even on the morning of the final. So be careful, mate. Be careful about calling me a fraud. Let's see who else we've got in the chat. Big up to Sue Smith. How you doing, Sue? Hope you're well. Cockney Geezer. Lots of people seem to think he's going to be sacked next week. I don't. Glasner's odds have gone down to 5-1. That would be brilliant for me, a Glasner. That would be absolutely brilliant. Proper coach, proper tactics, drills his team, upskills players, makes them better, works on a smaller budget, history of winning things. For me, absolute no-brainer. It is Glasner.
I mean, it's that other thing of like, you can only work so far with what you've got. And you made the point of it a good few months back now, is give me one Spurs supporter on here who would have turned round and said they would have taken Palace, Brentford, Bournemouth's first 11 over ours. Now, maybe one or two players out of each of those teams, of course, but who would have had a total swap of teams as such?
Hey, mate. How again? Let's bring the
and
league
look how
table
many
up.
injuries that some of them had, like Bournemouth and whatever, and still managed to keep up there. Okay, they didn't win a cup, fine, but
well, let's have a look. I'll take Liverpool out of the equation, and Arsenal. Right, actually, I could take a few of those at the top. As I said, Dan, to everybody that suddenly doesn't like any of our players, and we've got a terrible squad, right? No one in the summer would have taken Wolves, Man U, West Ham, Everton, Palace, Fulham, Brentford, Bournemouth, Brighton, Forest squad above ours. No one.
no.
Absolutely no one. Now, yes, if you're going to talk Liverpool, of course, Arsenal, of course, City, of course, Chelsea, I said they'd finish above us. And Dan, look at the stick I got last summer for saying Chelsea had a better squad than us. Look at the stick I got when I gave my predictions. Newcastle United, I was told we've got a better squad than Newcastle, right? Villa, I was told we've got a better squad than them. So literally between Spurs and Chelsea, I was told by our fan base in the summer that we've got a better squad than all of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 squads, Dan. 12 squads, I was told we were better than. Now, all of a sudden, lots of people, but Sam, feel free to come on, mate. When you're saying who cares, you got Champions League football, we've had to sit and watch our club lose 26 games of football, mate. We are wide open. Everyone beats us and dunks on us every game. So when you're saying who cares, you've got to understand Spurs won't spend as though we're a Champions League football club. So many of us care. Many of the fans who spend £2,000 for a season ticket will probably care at how bad it was, Donna Sam, right? So I think you should worry about your own club, probably, not really worry about us. No one would have said this at the beginning of the season. No one would have said 17th in the Europa League. No one. So,
the fact
again,
that
this is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I said. Oh, Don, you're being an idiot. I can't deal with him when he's like that. I can't be bothered with him. If I'd love, do you know what I'd love, Dan? I'd love to see if this was their clubs, how they'd react. I would love to see if Liverpool was 17th in the table, how these frauds would act. I'd love to see it.
Even Arsenal, how desperate they are for a cup at the moment. I very much doubt there'd have been very many who would have accepted 17th with a Europa win.
Madness.
I mean, I know in Europe they are the most underachieving team in football, but I still don't think a majority of their fan base would have been satisfied with that as such. Because they look on themselves as that much of a big club, which they are, that they should be finishing in the top 4 or fighting for the top and winning a cup, which they should be. Yeah, if we have that mentality of you should just be happy in the Champions League, then that is just basically us sitting back and accepting we're a small club. Then with that attitude, then people need to stop moaning again about us being the 8th biggest club in the world and Levy not spending the money and this and that. If we should just be satisfied for the fact that we're in the Champions League, well, then we're not even looking on ourselves as a big club as such.
Listen,
what mentality are you meant to have to be a big club?
Listen, for any fans that said they'd take 17th in a trophy, that's them. That doesn't have to be me. Why do I have to take that? Why would I ever want to sit and watch my club have its worst ever Premier League season? This is the worst ever league season I've seen since I've been alive, Dan. 40 odd years, this is the worst Premier League season I've got. And I've got fans from other clubs telling me, who cares? Well, okay, cool. It's not your club. 22 league defeats, Dan. I mean, look, let's do this. Right? Let's do this. This is what these fans are telling me to be happy with. Right? A 1.00 point per game average, but just be happy we got Champions League. Right? 1.00 points per game average, but I've got to be happy with that. Right? Let's then look at this one. Right? Look at Dan. This is the biggest one for me. For all these people, I'll say it, like people like Sam from other channels that don't know this data. Look how it's getting worse every 6 months. Those numbers are frightening. 1.89 to 1.58 to 1.26 to 0.74. The trend is there for anyone that wants to see it. It shows that other than a good cup run, we are going backwards. Game by game, week by week, month by month, year on year. We're going backwards, right? Now, if that's not enough, look, again, thank you for all the fans of other clubs telling me I should like this. Worst ever Premier League finish. Second worst goals conceded in the Premier League era. Most defeats in a Premier League era. Most home defeats in a season. 6 home wins. 1 win in our last 12 games. 34 league defeats in 2 seasons. And a -1 goal difference. So no, I won't have these fans, Dan, of other clubs telling me to be happy with that. I'm sorry, I won't. I'm not, just because they've got absolutely no standards, it doesn't mean I'm going to as well. Absolutely no way at all. No way.
I don't think that's necessarily other people not having no standards for themselves. That's just the fact that they've got no standards for Spurs, and for obvious reasons, we haven't really got much to preach standards by as such, except size of the club and what we should be doing and everything else. But then for me, it all comes back to the Daniel Levy thing again of like, well, if we are this big club and you want him to act like we're this big club, then he should not be accepting a manager getting us in 17th place, even though he scrimped and scraped his ass through that Europa League and basically rescued us into the Champions League. If we want this club to have this big mentality like people keep saying and like Levy should have, then surely he should be doing what is right for the football side of it and to be as a club and progress. Again, we're not going to have that Europa to cover our ass next season to get in that Champions League. We need to get top 5. Because I think top 5 is now a 75% chance that you will get that in the Premier League now. There might be the odd season where it don't, but I think a majority of the chances now you'll see top 5 will get you Champions League now in the Premier League. And again for me, it's progression. Fine, brilliant, Ange, nice one. There's another 2 million, but see you later. You just haven't been good enough.
Yeah, look, can I say this, Dan? Would this be fair? If it was so clear cut, right? If it was so clear cut that he's won a trophy, so he 100% has to stay, then why is the fan base so split on it, Dan? Why is it not like 99% of the fan base want him to stay, and I'm a minority voice? If that's the case,
that's definitely one of the most Spursy things about there, isn't it? And it's like with players as well. If a player is genuinely that good and people think they're that good, you wouldn't see literally 50-50 debates over it, basically.
Of course.
Consistent debates again and again and again. You wouldn't see it. But we do, especially with players we have at Spurs and the manager we have. If it was that cut and sure.
Let me ask you this, Dan. Right now, is anyone at Crystal Palace having a debate about sacking Glasner?
Of course not.
Why? Why are we debating Ange and they're not debating Glasner?
Because to an extent, I mean, he's almost overachieved of what you'd expect of Palace. And he has done a brilliant job for what he's got there. Whereas Ange, again, okay, a lot of injuries. I still put half the injuries on him, and some of the main injuries we had were down to his fault, because people say we had to go without a goalkeeper and our 2 main defenders. Well, the reason we went out with 2 main defenders for so long is because he made that mistake. That was his fault, that one. Right. Goalkeeper, not his fault. Shit happens. But the 2 defenders, to play them both at the same time when they was obviously not match fit, even if they're stated they was fit, they was obviously not match fit. Their first game back against a physical game that's usually physical against Chelsea as well. For me, that was stupid.
But Dan, the thing is, for all these, do you know what I love now about these people that definitely from other fan bases that are now going, oh no, you've got to keep him because he won you a trophy. They're the ones that have been bantering us all year when we're being split wide open like Bonnie Blue. Right? These are the ones bantering us all year at how bad we are and how poor the football is and how many goals we concede. And then suddenly that cup run is, oh no, keep him. Actually, he's brilliant. I just don't think everyone's taking all the evidence into account, like the tactics, the coaching. Listen, it's not just the tactics and coaching, Dan. It's the fact he's fighting with his own fan base. He changes his mind in his press conferences week in, week out. I just don't understand it.
Some people are just easily satisfied, others ain't. I mean, the description you gave with a woman, I think it's a good example. It's like if I was with a woman who'd been behind my back 22 times, but then while I was walking across the road, got hit by a car, and she called the ambulance, and that saved my life. I say thanks a lot. It's much appreciated. You're still dumped. You might have just saved my life, but you're still dumped. I don't really know how else to put it about. Basically, it's much appreciated. I'm not going to burn your clothes and throw them out the window now. I'll just throw them out the window to you, sort of thing. You're still dumped.
Yeah.
I don't really know how else to go about this anymore without almost being comical about it. That is blatantly 22 defeats in a bloody season.
22. Like, I don't know how every Spurs fan isn't utterly embarrassed of that. Like, I genuinely, like, as I said to you, Dan, not YouTube people, but my mates in my group, they don't even banter me about how shit Spurs are anymore. Like literally nearly every weekend when we're losing, they're like, oh, so you lost again. And normally it would have been like, gutted, you've done this. Now they're just like, God, you're bad, didn't you? And I'm like, yeah, we are. But isn't it bad when rivals stop bantering you? You know something's wrong. You know something's wrong. And I agree with Kate. The other clubs want us to keep Ange. Absolutely. They love playing against us when we've got Ange. So I just think it's mad. But listen, hey, as I've said, I think that he's probably going to stay. And then I think we're going to regret it next season. I think we're going to regret it. But Dan, the goalpost will be moved next season. Next season, if he does badly in the league, the goalpost will be, oh, but he's got to play Premier League and Champions League.
But
The goalpost will just be moved time and time again, like they have for this man all season.
What does it matter if it's Champions League? The way I look on that one, obviously Champions League, bigger cup, better teams as such, but he's still playing the same amount of games basically because he was playing Premier League and Europa Cup and League Cup and FA Cup. So he's still playing the same amount of games. So to me, it's just he's playing better teams. That's all.
Yeah.
He's still going to be playing roughly the same amount of games and everything and that. So again, that one, whether it's Champions League, Europa Cup, whatever, is on that side of it is irrelevant. He's still playing.
But he's not going to be able to rotate, Dan, in a lot of those group games in the Europa League, he was able to put in 6-7 fringe players. Going into the Champions League, you're not going to be able to make 6-7 changes to your team. So he's going to have to put out his best team essentially midweek and weekend. And there can be no excuses. Can there?
Yeah.
No excuses.
I didn't look at it from that side. Fair point. I'll go back on what I say there. Yeah, fair point.
You know, and this is why when people say, like when you use the example of Bournemouth, people go, oh, they only played one game a week, right? But they were putting out their best team in that one game a week every week. Spurs were rotating throughout the Europa League.
Well, when it also comes down to the fact of the we rotated in the Europa and then still so we could play best in the league and then still got done by Ipswich and what was it, Palace? That tells you something as well, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Just Fly. Oh, I used to like this guy. I haven't seen him for ages. I don't know where he disappeared to. I said, Savva, did you get the Postecoglou tattoo? I can't keep explaining this anymore. Can't keep explaining what I'm doing. If you had seen my content, you would see what's happening with that. I don't know. This guy used to watch me and then doesn't. So I'm sure he's probably trying to be funny, but not succeeding with that. Dan, let's move away. Let's move away from Ange. Let's move away from Ange. Look, there's a lot of talk about Ryan Mason going to join West Brom, which I think would be a really good move for him. But whatever happens at Spurs next year, whether it is Ange or not, surely we've got to get better coaches. Surely, right? Surely the likes of Mason now and Jedinak and that, surely we've got to get better coaches behind this management team, haven't we?
I mean, he does. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, he's got to be one of the only managers I've ever personally heard of. If others can tell me others, then go for it. But I'm saying what I've always known a manager. There's at least like 2, maybe 3 coaches that they always would want to bring with them or do bring with them if they can get them there.
Yeah.
It's not that he didn't even get given good coaches, which he didn't. He blatantly said when he came here, he didn't care. It's another challenging part of a new job, if I remember correct what he said, that he doesn't have coaches that he brings with him, and it's another challenge for it, basically. Whereas every other good manager that I've ever known of has at least 2 coaches that they bring in with them, usually one being an assistant manager and another coach. He made it clear as day from day that he doesn't do that. It's another challenge. Do you really need that other challenge as well? Or I don't know. It's one statement to me that personal opinion doesn't make much sense to me. But if that's the way he does it, that's his way of doing it. Each to their own, I suppose, at the end of the day, whatever turns you on, you know. But that's just a strange one for me again.
No, I completely agree. And by the way, Jeff, so Southern Dan, would you take 18th and Champions League? So you're saying to me, would I take being relegated to the Championship to win the Champions League?
No.
No. No. That would be weird. Can I ask a question? Why is it, Dan? Forget whether it's Ange. Forget Ange. Why is it every year Spurs fans have to put something good with something bad? So why is it always, would you take winning this if it meant this bad thing happening? Why is that our first thought every year? Would you take this if it meant this? Why?
Because it's who we are, mate. It's simple as that, basically.
But it's weird,
it's just,
right?
I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying it's just the way it is at Spurs in that way. And for me, again, why has it got to be one or the other? It keeps going back to what I'm repeating. If we're this big club that we state we are, and people again always going on at Levy on how he should make us as big as we actually are, and that, why has it got to be one or the other? What?
Do you know the funny thing with it, Dan? And I know I think you're going to agree with me on this. When we're going to sit and talk about, oh, I'll take 17th in a Champions League win or 18th in a Champions League win. All right, first and foremost, those two things don't ever make sense because there's no way a team who finishes 17th in the league are going to win a Champions League, right? Secondly, right, aren't all these fans the same fans that are demanding we sign better footballers, right? Why demand better footballers if you're happy to finish so low down in the league? Why do you care?
That's exactly what I said earlier. If you're going to be happy with finishing 15th and League Cup and 15 and 2 FA Cups for 3 years on the trot, then be happy with your Archie Grace. Be happy with your Tells. Be happy with your, well, we probably wouldn't even attract a Tell. Be happy with the smaller mentality of buying players that we have then.
Yeah. I just don't get it. On one hand, what we're going to do, certain fans this summer are going to berate every signing for not being good enough. And on the other hand, we'll say, yeah, but I don't mind if we finish 15th and win an FA Cup. I can't make these. I feel there's a lot of weak mindsets out there, Dan. A lot of weak mindsets. But when it's against Levy, it seems like we're allowed to be really critical. Oh, but Levy doesn't do this. When it's against Ange and the league position, it doesn't matter because we won a trophy. I'm really not sure. I don't like all this either or. I don't like it at all.
Why does it have to be one or the other? And yeah, okay, you can say one or the other because the lack we've won for 17 years as such. Okay, I get that bit. But the size of the club we are, it should not be. When Poch, I don't think there was anybody looking there saying we should only be going for the league. We should have won something under Poch. With that team and everything else, we should have. And he didn't get us over the line. But I bet you there was a lot of people looking there, especially that season with Leicester, that we should be looking at winning the league and also giving it all for the cup as well. I know there will be some out there who would have just said, been doing this, doing that. But when we had Poch at one stage, you could say you wasn't just looking at how we're doing the league, but you was actually, we should be seriously getting a cup here as well, or a cup.
Yeah,
So again, why one or the other?
People are asking me in the chat if I'm happy because Ange's getting sacked. Guys, no one knows that. No one knows that. There's no evidence. I think the Football Insider have released a report today saying he's getting the sack. Listen, until I see anybody of any gravitas saying it, I'm not going to believe it. Look, I just implore all these other clubs, Dan, that are telling me to be happy with 17th and a trophy. I always, Dan, I've used this all year. Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, City, they would not allow their manager to even get remotely close to 17th for this to even be a conversation. Right? Their managers would not have got to the they might have dipped into the bottom half for a few games to come straight back out. They would not have allowed them to be bottom half most of the season and have the manager still in the job. That's the difference for me when people say, just be happy you won a trophy. Those fans, let's see next year. Let's use Donna Sam. Next year, if Liverpool aren't in the top four, of course they will be, by the way, this is silly, but if Liverpool aren't in the top four, let's see him sit there and go, that's okay because we're in a competition. Yeah? Let's see the Arsenal fans say it. Let's see the Chelsea fans say it. Chelsea fans were spitting feathers this year because at one point it looked like they weren't going to make the top five. They were spitting feathers whilst they were in a European competition.
What would you, again, another one, a lot of people, I mean, this is a lot of people, the Europa Cup is the Europa Cup. To me, it's the tier 2 European Cup. It's still a big enough cup. If it wouldn't have had that add-on to it of you getting the Champions League for winning it, the Europa Cup to me would be a pretty irrelevant cup to a lot of teams because it was for quite a while. And it was always the mid-table teams that sort of went for it, usually when they was in it, I found. The thing that definitely made the cup bigger was the fact you get into the Champions League. It gave a solid reason to go for it as such. And me personally, now, I would have been more satisfied with finishing 5th and winning the League Cup than winning the Europa Cup. Because then I would have got Champions League.
5th in the FA Cup.
Well, FA Cup, I would have quite happily taken that. I'm saying 5th in the League Cup, I would have been more happy with than the Europa Cup.
For sure.
Because then I would have got the Champions League and we'd have also had a League Cup. And people tell me that.
And it shows that your team is going in the right direction, Dan. It shows
that
weekly you can compete, not every few weeks in a cup.
The Europa is bigger than the League Cup. Of course it is. But I would have been more satisfied with 5th place and the League Cup, because then we would have got Champions League and we would have also had a cup under our name.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't have had to go through this pain of a season where it's literally made me numb to my own club watching the football as such, where that I barely even get excited over scoring a goal and everything else. I don't want to have to go through this pain as a Spurs supporter again of having a season like that.
I think the thing for me is as well, I love a trophy, right? Of course, we all love trophies. But again, for me, the trophy doesn't outweigh the 26 times we've all sat and watched games and gone, what a load of shit. This is embarrassing. It just doesn't. It just doesn't for me, Dan. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people don't like me for that very reason. But listen, I've said this all along. The league will tell you where you are as a team. The cups will tell you how much you can raise your game when needed. Is that fair?
I'll agree.
The league tells us over 38 games. Like now, the line I keep getting sent to me by everybody in my chat is this. Yeah, but the players are still playing for him. Well, are they still playing for him when we're losing 26 games? Or do you mean they're playing for themselves in a final and semi-final because they got a chance of silverware?
That is another question I ask. When he's still saying he's got the majority of the fan base behind him. The players. Well, I think you can also look at that one and you can, to an extent, again, it's personal opinion, you can relate the players to the fans. They're just won a Europa Cup. Of course, they're going to be standing there high as, whether they back their manager or not, they just won a cup with a manager. Of course, they're going to be standing there happy with him. But then some people, realism clicks in a bit slower than with others. And surely there's going to be a couple of players who are sitting there who are happy at the moment, who are all of a sudden going to be sitting back and looking at their career in the long run of the next season and think, do I want to do this 22 games crap again?
Yeah.
And what are we going to be going for next season? What are we realistically going to go for that Champions League? Well, we can give it everything we got, but will we get it? The odds are highly against it. So if it's about winning a cup, is he going to put it all aside and go for a League Cup or an FA Cup, which we have a realistic chance of getting? What's it going to do then?
I think Daniela's saying you can't go for all 4 in today's game. There are too many quality teams in the games. That would be 60. Yeah, listen, I'm not expecting Spurs to go for all 4 competitions. I've not said that. I do expect, though, that Tottenham Hotspur should not be in the bottom half of the Premier League table. I don't know why that's suddenly seen as a bad thing, Dan. Not saying Daniela said that, but all of a sudden I'm a bad fan because I'm not happy and I won't accept bottom half of the table.
No, for me on that one, what's being said there is like what I said. Sometimes you got to get some games are priorities over others. And for me, the 2 previous games we played before the Europa Cup final were irrelevant. They weren't going to make no matter to our season, whatever, where we feel, okay, we could have finished 15th instead of 17th. In that aspect, it makes it irrelevant. The Europa Cup was the important game to focus on. Something like that I can understand. But if we was in, say, 6th place and still, say, 2 points within top 4, top 3, then those 2 games are just as important as the Europa Cup game, in my opinion. But where we were, you can say, for me personally, you could say the previous 2 games we played before we played the Europa Cup final were irrelevant. because of the stage of the season where we were in the league and everything else. But in a total different situation, each 3 of those games could have been just as important as the other if you're winning Champions League.
No, listen, I agree with you. I mean, Alex, welcome to the show, mate. How are you, mate? You good?
I've just woken up. To be honest with you, I've woken up and I think I've gone in a time machine. I've come back to the same thing again, because I don't know what you two are doing at the moment. I've got to be honest. I think you're working. I think you're working the crowd too much. You're working to them, so that they're rattling you. I've done it right. For me, at the moment, right. I can't get excited anymore about this anymore. I can't get excited about signings. I can't get excited about anything at the moment because you've already given me stats about what's happened last 2 years. So why am I going to get excited about a manager that may be staying, that's ruined Kulu, who's ruined what is his name? What's his face? Maddison, right? Doesn't play Poro, right? Van der Ven's hamstring's going to tick again, right? Adoji's going to have another mixed season because he's going to be in Champions League. I don't know what we're doing, right? He hasn't changed his coaching staff, so that just shows me again. Other than Mason going out of the door, who else is going to come in at the moment? So the only thing I'm looking at the moment, this is why I was going back to what I said in the fan show with you, Savva, right? What manager at the moment? I'm not talking about the Premier League managers. Forget the Premier League managers because at the moment, for me, if we were looking at those managers, they would have been in the door right now.
Why?
What? Because we would have talked to them when this whole thing before the Europa League. We would have been speaking to them and we would have had them in already. Right? We'd have sacked Tange by now.
We don't know that for sure. That's not necessary. Everything's not black and white like that, is it?
Yeah, but the point I'm making is though, Savva, I don't even think we would have sacked him even if we lost the Europa League at the moment for me. Because for me, I don't think no, because the fact that now Glasner is staying, that 99% he's staying, right? Areola, right, is losing most of his players. So why is he staying at Bournemouth right now? Why would he be staying at Bournemouth right now?
Yeah, but that's not necessarily linked to what Tottenham are doing. Look, I'm guessing if Tottenham are going to make a decision next week, I bet you a new manager is installed very quickly. I bet you those conversations would have been happening massively.
But my point is, though, why is it that we're just looking at the net of the Premier League right now, for me? Because I think we should be looking, if we had, and this is what you've been, to be fair to you, you've been complaining about this, the scouting. But I'm not even talking about the scouting for players now. I thought we were looking at managers from the day dot when we were trying to do this, looking at our philosophy to make sure we're playing open attacking football sort of managers, sort of people, right? Since 2 years ago, right? So where's this whole thing about looking at these sort of managers? Because there are loads of managers. You've even spoken about managers, that German manager from Stuttgart, right? Holness, which I've been looking at, by the way. Right. Yeah. So what you know what I mean? Glasner, we already knew about him, but we didn't take a chance on him. Was it Terzic is still available at the moment? We haven't looked at him. We're not interested, obviously, because if we were interested, we'd take him right now. You get what I'm trying to say at the moment? Right, this is the thing. This is what frustrates me at the moment. I can't. No disrespect to your stats, Savva. I've gave you credit for your stats. Yeah, don't get used to it.
Hang on, not my stats.
No, yeah, but no.
Spurs stats.
Yeah, but Savva, you brought it up. I gave you credit for it. Don't get used to it. I'm giving you some credit here, for goodness sake. Yeah, take it for what you will, for goodness sake. You don't like credit sometimes. You know what I mean? You're so.
I don't know what you're giving me credit for. They're just numbers.
I know, but you're the one that brought it out first. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean. So, but you know,
but Alex, the problem is everything you're saying here. It's like the rest of us, right? We're assuming in hypotheticals. So when you're saying, "Oh, we're only talking about managers that are currently in England," one, we don't know if they're talking to any managers. Two, if they are, we don't know that it is just managers in England. It could be Paratici talking to Xavi. It could be him talking to Holness. It could be Terzic. It could be Inzaghi. We don't know. So surely that's just what the bookies are saying, right? The bookies are putting it down to the English managers, not nationality clubs. I mean,
but unfortunately, being a Spurs fan, I've seen the evidence last how many years now, how we act, and I can't agree at the moment. I just look on the evidence the last couple of years, and for me, like whether Prodigy's not installed or not, and he's not coming in July, it's quite clear from what we've seen before, right? And you know, people in the rumblings have told what we've heard. He don't fancy Prodigy. He don't fancy Angepostecoglou. So
Apparently, yeah.
so yeah, apparently that's the right word of saying
Yeah.
it. So for me, why are we wasting our time here? There shouldn't be any emotion to this anymore. There should not be any emotion. Big up to my boy Elijah, by the way, every single time, right? Right, but it's like, but there shouldn't be an emotional decision here, right? If Daniel Levy is Daniel Levy, he knows what to do, right? And he knows exactly where he needs to be going right now. And the strategy should be telling him as well, because he, for what we all know, Daniel Levy loves strategy, right? That's the only
Yeah,
reason
he
why
does.
he's back here.
We know he's got a lot of time for Paratici.
So this is what I'm saying. So
And that's what
for
I'm
me,
praying for, Alex. I'm praying for Paratici
I'm
in
just
his
trying
ear.
to get my Savva back. I'm just trying to get my Savva back right now, because at the moment I'm being too nice at the moment, because I just want to see this. I just want you to be honest at the moment that this is what I
So,
want.
whoa!
I want
Hang
my
on.
Savva back. I want my Savva
What
back
does,
right now.
sorry. What have I not been honest about, Alex?
Oh no, it's just I think you're just being too nice at the moment. I just think you're just
About
not being
what?
too. I just think you're just running over the carpet because you're getting too much criticism, which I don't think is fair at the end of the day. I just think you're nice. I just think I just want my Savva back, really, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Hang on, sorry, Dan. Dan, can I bring you in here? Sorry, what on earth is he waffling about? What am I being too nice about? What do you mean you want your Savva back?
I think what Alex is basically trying to say, I think, is that where you personally have pretty much accepted that Angie's going to stay, because you think he is going to stay, you shouldn't be accepting that. You should still be getting the ump with that. I think that's what Alex is trying to say. Who has not got
the ump with it? Who has not got?
But if
I'm
you've
live every
accepted
day.
it, if you've accepted it, then you've accepted it. Maybe you're just being too accepting for Alex.
Dan,
I don't know. But if
Dan,
it's what you think, then it's what you think. I think that's what Alex is trying to say.
I think that's it.
I get it. Is that what you're saying, Alex? What Dan just said?
And I've just think I just want to see more. What do you? I think what will shut the people up having a go at you. I think you just need to say more about what other managers are out there that just saying this. I mean, like for instance, yesterday with what is it? Oh, sorry, my mind's gone blank. PSG manager Enrique, right? You see what he done with that young team, right? When you see with what he's done with that winger that we were linked with, yeah. So it's just disappeared.
Doué.
You know, and look at who done with that great winger Georgian, yeah. That is brilliant. Look at that. That's just coaching. That is coaching at its best. You know what I mean? He coached that team, right, and made it into that team that it was what it was. You know what I mean? And to me, that's what I just want to see players improve, right? That's when I get really excited. You know what I mean? I cannot get excited. I know, but
hang on. We've gone off on a tangent here. What's that got to do? I don't know what I'm meant to have changed. Ask me some direct questions that you want the harsh truths to, and I'll answer them right now. Both of you, ask me direct, harsh questions. You will not get me sitting on a fence. Go.
Well, what sort of manager do you want? What sort of manager do you want and would be happy with at the moment? And why is that manager better than what you've got? What we've got right now? What we've got right now?
I won't be able to answer that honestly. I want a Xavi. I want a Glasner. I want a manager that coaches. I want a manager that can actually put a team together, right, and actually make us well drilled, hard to beat, and actually look organised, so that every weekend I'm not going, how many goals are we going to concede this weekend? That's what I think Glasner, I've seen him do it at Frankfurt. I've seen him now do it at Crystal Palace. So I've seen Glasner win with two very unfancy teams in Frankfurt and Palace. I've seen him make both those two teams look hard to beat. Look how that Frankfurt team got ripped apart. The team that he built, players now wanted by everyone across Europe, right? Crystal Palace, he lost his best players, then does that with Crystal Palace this season, right? Crystal Palace, if you had said to Crystal Palace 12th in an FA Cup, they would have been over the moon. This man is a coach. Xavi, for me, he's a coach. He works very well with young players. He knows everything you need to know about coaching and tactics from his time at 30-odd years, 40 years at Barcelona as a player and a kid, right? And a manager. That's what I want at Spurs. That's never changed. So I'm not sure why you think I've changed. When I say I've made peace with the fact that Ange is staying, I've made peace with the fact that Ange is staying because I can't sack Ange, right? Most of our fan base have flip-flopped so much on Ange now that I think it will be difficult for Levy to sack him. You know what you need back more than your Savva back, Alex? You need your Levy back.
Yeah, I need my Levy back.
That's what you need.
Yeah,
we need our Levy back. We need the Levy back that goes, look how bad this manager's done. See you later. Out you go. So any other questions you want a direct, honest answer to? I can't believe of all the YouTubers, you think I'm the one that's not going to be honest and not sit on a fence.
Like I said, I don't even think that's what Alex was saying. It's like
I don't understand what he's saying. I'll be honest, I really don't get it.
No, what he's basically saying is you're just not sounding as passionate as you would have 12 months ago with it because you've accepted the problem. You don't think he's going nowhere. It is what it is. So you're not going to get into one about it. What is the point on getting into one about it? But you're still stating quite clearly that you think he shouldn't be here and why he shouldn't be here. Like I've said, what's the point on getting rattled or angry or annoyed about it? You can still have a chat about something and totally disagree with something, and you don't have to get rattled by it. I think that's just basically what Alex is saying.
Sure.
That almost, to an extent, the lack of emotion that you've got in it compared to what you would have had 12 months ago is sort of depressing him a little bit as well.
But I look at other managers as well to try and make my not just these ones. I'm looking at outside because I still get confused why Bournemouth and Brentford are able to find managers out the box, right?
Agreed.
And we can't find these managers. And I'm looking at managers at the moment like Ingo Perez, like Holness for Stuttgart, like all these managers that mark my words will come to the Premier League and we'll sit there and say, how the hell have we not gone and got those managers? Right? They might not end up being good, but the point I'm making is why is it with the database that we've got, right? Okay, that we can't find. This is what I was talking to you on the fan show, Savva. I was saying to you, this is what I'm saying. I'm looking at all these managers and I'm sitting there saying, why is it these small clubs with small databases are finding these managers? Pochettino came from Southampton, and we take him off Southampton.
Terzic is another one I wouldn't say no to, Alex.
Exactly.
Terzic is a one I wouldn't say no to. I mean,
exactly. This is where I have my issue at the moment. This is where I have my issue, and this is why I can't get excited at the moment when I get players like. And this, I feel so bad. I'm saying this because he's magical when you can get him on form. Grealish, come here to Tottenham. Why should I get excited when I know Postecoglou might be managing him? When I've seen him mess up Kulu, mess up bloody Maddison, mess up all these players that we've got, us good players. But Bissouma, right, you watch him go back to what he was doing before, or he's doing the same thing, and the teams will just counter against him. You know
basically over the 2 years, there's for me, there's two players that forget the fact that we won a cup, forget that for a moment. I think there's two players that can basically walk off of this season with any pride to themselves that they've improved. And Bergvall is one of them. And the other you can really say is Johnson. And that's because he scored 17 goals, 18 goals, whatever it is at the end of the day. So apart from that, who else can really say in that entire team has improved?
That's the point I'm making.
Romero, he has not improved consistently as a player. He's had his World Cup performance here and there, like I say, he does. Van der Ven has not improved. One other you could say has maybe improved from when he's been able to play is Spence. Apart from that, who else has actually improved as a player?
That's the thing. I don't want to end up
Solanke hasn't. Kulusevski hasn't. Madison.
That's the thing, Dan. We're repeating ourselves again. We're not having a go at you, by the way. But I'm trying to not repeat it. But it's just that's where and this is why now I'm just looking at other managers now, because I just sit there and say Tottenham should be looking further afield, and we'll get these managers cheap. That's what's even more worse. We could get these managers cheap because no one knows about them. You see what I'm saying? Alonso. We could have taken a chance with him. Look where he's gone to now. He's gone to bloody Real Madrid now.
Xavi is a manager who I think we could seriously look at.
Yeah.
And I think we could get at the end of the day, because again, with a lot of it is
money. And they need their coaching staff as well. They need their coaching staff as well. This is another thing as well. They need their coaching staff, right? There's none of this trying to cheap it out. Right? Don't do that, please. I'm not in the mood for that. Right? If we're gonna do this, we do it for real, and we put money in it as well. As far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? Because doing this thing about putting all these people that you know got potential at Tottenham coaches and putting them, no. I'm not on for that. I'm sorry. I'm not for that at all. I want us to just do it properly this time, you know, and that's it for me, right? And if it doesn't work out, okay, we'll get. But should be another one on the conveyor belt. That's what we should be doing, and this is where personally I'm getting very frustrated at the moment. For me, you know what I mean? Because all I'm told is, and I can see it's getting frustrating as well. And other teams are saying it as well. Because I think the only reason why they want him to stay is because they know that we're going. They know that we're declining. They know we're declining these rivals. They know what they know.
Well, of course, if we'd have finished, say, 6th and won the Europa, there wouldn't be anyone saying there Angin that isn't at Tottenham.
No.
Listen, I'll just say, first of all, I'm still absolutely a bit gobsmacked by what Alex is saying that he wants a Savva back. I mean, I'm one of the only channels that goes live every day and talks about Ange leaving. And then he comes on and tells me that he wants his Savva back. I've got no idea what you're talking about. But I agree with everything you're saying. There are managers all over the place. There are managers all over the place that a lot of Premier League fans don't know because they don't watch any other leagues. But this is what, you're right, this is what the other clubs seem to be good at. Brighton seem to be good at these things. Brentford seem to be good at this. Bournemouth. At Spurs, we've now settled into this pattern of thinking we're a big club, right? But then don't talk like one. So, like Just Fly in the chat said, we want to win trophies. We want a trophy winning manager. We've got one. Sure, but we don't want a manager that has a 17th in the Premier League. Surely at the same time, surely these people have that rationale to realise that it's not sustainable to finish 17th and win trophies. I gave all the data to this last week. Yeah, that out of 120 trophies in the last 30 years, which is FA Cup, League Cup, Europa League and Champions League, 120 winners, only 10 ever finished in the bottom half, and it's Spurs 3 times, by the way, in that 120, right? That's that's the stats. And the reason, if people think I'm waffling, is the correlation between finishing low down and winning a trophy is tiny. Spurs did that this year as the anomaly. The teams that win the trophies are the teams that are higher up the league, normally in between about 6th and 3rd, right? Obviously the teams that are 1st and 2nd do very well. After that, it's between about 6th and 3rd. Why? Because naturally, the better teams that are doing well in the league will also win cups. So when we're talking about, yeah, but we've got a cup manager. So is that what we want from Daniel Levy now? If it is, if that's what we want, guys, from Daniel Levy, then stop asking for him to be sacked. Stop asking him to sell the club. If what they want is a cup and 15th or 16th or 17th in the league, stop asking for the owner to go out. Stop asking to sign top footballers. Stop asking for the wage structure to be beaten because you're happy with it. Right? But if you want Spurs to get top 5, 6 at the same time as winning the FA Cup or the Europa League, fine, right? But you can't have it both ways. It can't be, don't worry about the league because we won a trophy. Sure, but what if we didn't win the trophy? We'd be in a right state. It's the biggest risk and gamble to ever have. By the way, mate, you can. I'm going to say this politely. I see your comments into me are fucking disgusting, so you can fuck right off. Sorry. Sorry. This guy comes into my YouTube chat comments after the shows, just says the most ridiculous things, then shits his pants and doesn't come on the panel. Yeah? And then look, going to watch more cricket is more interesting than this BS. Come on then. Put your money where your mouth is, Sean. Put your money where your mouth is. There you go. There's the link for Sean. I bet he shits himself. Come on and tell me why finishing 17th is good for Tottenham Hotspur. Come on. These people don't get it, Dan. These people don't get it. You want to be a bigger club, but they're happy finishing bottom half. Now, to your point, if you're going to turn around and say, for one season, I'll accept it. But these people, Dan, aren't saying that. These people are saying, next year, would you be happy with 17th and a trophy again? And it's like, no. Why are we talking about ourselves like we're the smallest club in the Premier League and that we should just be grateful that we've won a trophy?
Again, it's that season where we can sort of put it aside us because we won a trophy and we still got to Champions League. So in that aspect, you can put the end of the season aside it to an extent. But the bit I take it from there is I now want progression. And like I said, I don't think Ange is the one who's got the capability to progress us in the league and also make us consistent cup contenders. So as all I want is progress.
He's not going to be consistent, period.
And I don't think he's the one to do it.
He's not going to be consistent, period, Dan. He's not going to be consistent.
If some people think he can, then let them think that. It's like him finishing 5th in that first season. Yeah, good. But I wasn't happy with that because after about 15, 16 games, I called it out. And then he also got caught. I called him out after 7 games that I feel we needed to adapt it at one stage. But after about 15, 16 games, one thing others kept talking about, like, his out-and-out zonal marking in the box isn't working. He needs to man mark in the box because we was conceding a lot of goals. And by the end of the season, one of the worst ones for conceding dead ball situations. And he even got it brought up to him. And he basically told the press conference person to go full for multiplier. And then with about 3 games left, he changes it. And we almost look better on a dead ball situation straight away. If he would have actually done that, if he would have actually gone and done that as a manager that can adapt, wasn't stubborn or whatever which way it is with him, I personally think he could finish us 4th place easy that season. That's what actually bugs me with that first season.
He hasn't got anybody to say anything to him. He hasn't. Big up, Sean. He hasn't got anybody to combat him. He doesn't allow that. He tells the coaches what to do, and then they do it. That's it. So this is where my issue is at the moment. That's why I can't get excited when nothing's changed in the coaching staff, right? And there's nothing to combat his ideas. You see what I'm saying? Like the Brighton game was just the example for me. And like I say, I had a great time when I was there before, right? And I saw Smack and he said, "Why are you not going to the game?" I said, "Mate, I'm not going. I can't be asked." Spoke to him after the game. He's like, "Oh my gosh, what was I doing? What was I doing?" So yeah, well, that's what I'm talking, mate. You know what I mean? You know, and it's like, you know, that was after us winning the Europa League. So that was like a downer straight away, wasn't it? You know what I mean? So it's like, and then 1-0 up, and then boom, 4-0, 4-1. You know what I mean? Yeah. And to me, if ask the question, right? Frankfurt, when we were 1-0 up, right? If Frankfurt scored, do you think we win that game?
No.
No, exactly. Man United, right? If Man United score, do we win that game?
If they scored late, no.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making. So you can't make an anomaly on winning that cup, looking at how we won those games from Frankfurt onto bloody Manchester United. For me, other managers will do it better, right? And they will look at it, they'll listen to their coaching staff, right? And this is my issue at the moment, right? Okay, Savva, you shut me up. I've got my Savva back. Sorry about that. Yeah, but
I don't know where your Savva ever went. Like, of all the YouTubers that are flip flopping, and I'm the one being called out for I want my Savva back. I've not changed, have I?
yeah, you Savva.
He's just saying. He's basically saying you've sounded too relaxed way of saying it.
Yeah. I'll shut.
He
I'll
wants
shut
a bit
up.
more emotion out of you.
I shut up now. I shut up now. Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. But that's where I'm just so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. Thank goodness I was doing other things yesterday because I couldn't be asked. You know what I mean? I couldn't be asked. But yeah, back to you, Savva.
Sean, hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
It's hello. It's interesting, isn't it? It's so interesting that I've said in the last few weeks that the way I know that I'm not crazy and negative about this whole Ange thing is the fact that there is still so much talk about should he be sacked or not, even though we won a trophy. That tells me that I know I'm not crazy, Sean. I know what I've been saying all season isn't crazy, right? Where do you stand with all this? You know, some people saying we're ungrateful, that we still don't want the manager and stuff. Where do you stand with all this?
Apparently, I'm standing in a pile of mud. Apparently, it's there's mud being thrown left and right. Look, you know me, mate. Like I try to see both sides of the angle, both angles, or all angles. I chew it over, and I think that I personally just land on I don't want him, but I'm not Ange out unconditionally. I'm Ange out on the condition that there's someone available that's better. And as time seems to go on, more and more of the names on the shortlist seem to be getting chalked off, right? So, looks like Inzaghi's chasing the money in Saudi. Looks like Glasner's saying he's staying. Or at least, you know what? I mean, it'd be very unlikely that any manager would come out when they're still employed and say, "Yeah, I'm happy to go to it." So when he says I'm 99% staying, I think that's maybe just playing the game, but leaving the door open. But not that I want him, but Marco Silva was on the shortlist and he said he's staying. Iriola was on the shortlist. He's staying. He's got a good relationship with Bill Foley. One by one, these names, and most of them I didn't even want. There was only a couple that I wanted. And, Inzaghi was one. Glasner was one. Xavi's one. And then I'm curious about people like Nagelsmann, but he turned us down before. And that name hasn't really popped up. Then today I'm seeing Ben Jacobs is saying that De Zerbi's on the shortlist. I don't really want him. I think that's an absolute massive argument that's waiting to happen between him and Daniel Levy at some point. So that will just be conflict central. So where I land on it, mate, is if you show me better, don't bring me the problem. The problem, if the problem is Ange, which some people think it is, some people don't, then I'm like, if the problem is Ange, then don't bring me the problem, bring me the solution. Ange out, just like Levy out, isn't the solution. The solution is who's coming in. And I'm reading the press every day and I'm seeing fewer and fewer names, right? So,
so let me ask you then. Let me ask you on this. So for me, I don't think any of the names you said there are worse than Angepostecoglou in terms of setting up a team, coaching, tactics, man management in the media. So this is a really low bar that Ange just set. I think this is a tiny, tiny bar because we're that bad.
Yeah, but I think the one thing that he has got that I think if you're looking at the profile, if you were to get like ChatGPT to ask, if you were asked ChatGPT, what is the profile of Angepostecoglou, I think it would be, primarily surrounded by his words, his wordsmith abilities, right? His ability to invoke an inspirational speech in a key moment and get players to play above themselves. Now, I personally have seen through all that stuff. We've all spoken about it. I know Dan and I have agreed on this loads of times. That we, once you see through when you say everything, you're going to say something right, and then if you want to lean into the one thing you said right and hope that everyone forgets the things you said wrong, then fair enough. But whilst he still has the ear of the players, then what you can say is that whilst he is tactically inept and tactically doesn't know, and too proud to admit his mistakes and all those things, I think that what you can offer as a positive about him that you can't. I've never seen a dressing room speech from Thomas Frank, for example. I don't know. Maybe there is evidence out there that Thomas Frank also has the words in the right order. I don't know. Sorry, Trevor.
You should see. There's a video going around the Thomas Frank speech to his Brentford team.
Oh, really? Okay, I haven't seen that. It's good, is it?
And it looks heartfelt rather than
salesman-y.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way,
well, fair enough.
way,
Fair enough. Okay, so if that's
this
the
is
case,
flying
then
around at the moment. This is flying around at the moment, and I'm being told. I'm being told by the makers of Hellman's mayonnaise and ketchup, that is a very reliable source, right? That Tottenham have had direct contact in the last few days with Thomas Frank. The Danish manager talked with Spurs about the project and some target for the summer. And that is from @SantiJFM. Now, I don't know, but lots of people are saying that he's massive in France, gets everything right.
he's the same guy who yesterday said that Ange is staying.
Mate, I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
These journalists are also like Angepostecoglou. Say everything. Say he's going, say he's staying, and then whatever the outcome is, you get to retweet your post which said he was, Listen, look, if Thomas Frank's the guy, then so be it. I'm not blown away by Thomas Frank. I'd definitely give him the edge on the tactic stuff, but then I'd give you the edge or box office or down the edge on tactics over Ange, to be entirely honest. So like, I don't really, I don't compare apples for oranges in that regard. I was just of the opinion, and obviously if there is video out there that I haven't seen where Thomas Frank is also an invoker of the moment, then great, because that was what I was going to say. Like, ultimately we're not going to win the league, or you'd hope that we're going to get better in the league even if Ange stays. But if we are going to focus on cups for the next couple of years and see if we can just kick on a little bit and get some momentum and get to a few finals, then you'd probably say that Ange has got the goods in terms of being able to say the right words just before the players come out. But to be honest, mate, to answer your question, sorry, I'm rambling. To answer your question very bluntly, I see both sides. I think there's more than enough justification to sack him. I think there's also enough justification to give him the next season. What I don't want to see is the people that are Ange in now, and I know this will happen. I know people in the comment section will probably get annoyed for saying it, but I know this will happen. The people that are Ange in, how dare you, Savva, how dare you, Sean, want to sack the guy who's just given you the first trophy. If we start next season and we're played 10, won 2, lost 6, drawn 2, all those people will be Ange out. And by then, we've already ruined our season. So, if you're Ange in now, then you better be Ange in after 10 games, regardless of the situation. Otherwise, I'll be coming.
You know what? You say that. I mean, me and you have agreed and disagreed on things in the past. And that is one. I'm with you 100% on this one. This is what I mean by basically doing what is correct for the club and doing what is morally correct. And if people are saying, well, we should just give him 10 games, he's deserved 10 games, then obviously they haven't got full faith in him, basically.
Yeah, you haven't
got the attitude that he's deserved his chance and he deserves another go, then surely they should be there to back him, forgive him the season, basically, to win us another cup and get us fifth in the league or whatever else. Because you can't do that over 10 games.
Well, they won't be, Dan. They won't be. They won't be. They'll call you out for changing your opinion, but they'll change their opinion because they know that they're invisible.
And the other thing,
their face is not on screen.
Picking up on what you said earlier, if I understood it properly, I think you're basically saying that, look, let's be honest. If Ange stays, I don't think he'll get a 17th. But I don't see significant improvement either, to the extent of what I'm looking at Spurs should be improving, as in top 7.
Yeah, mid-table.
And really,
mid-table
if he stays and finishes 12th, you could say he's had a better season. He's improved, yeah. But I think what you're saying is, what's the point on getting rid of him to get in another manager who is only going to be able to take us 12th or 10th?
Yeah, and that's my reservation.
Instead, go and get another manager.
But can I answer?
That will take us to that next level. I'm just saying in general.
Exactly my take, mate. That's exactly my take.
I'm just basically trying to
understand in general. But look,
yeah, and that's it, Dan. That's exactly it.
A lot of people always say they're not blown away by Frank and Frank this, Frank that, Frank's done a wonderful job with limited resources. He does a wonderful job every year. He sets up his Brentford team very well. Yeah, the players all love him. He loses his best players every year. They scout and find these players that he turns into gems. They sell them on. He's managed to get 2 players relatively unknown a few years ago.
But he's never done it on Europe. He's never fought on two games a week, has he?
Sure, but neither did Ange. But Ange, who had experience of playing in Europe, completely failed on that aspect, right? So when we're saying that, listen, by the way, I'm not saying Frank is my number 1 choice. I just think Frank, for me, brings a bit of credibility back to the club. He is superb with the press. He is absolutely brilliant with the press. He's loved by everybody because he's a gentleman. He talks.
Yeah.
You watch him in the press, whether they've won or lost. He gives a
Respectful.
really good account
Yeah.
of himself. He's talking about, hey, this is what we want to do at the club. And listen, I've got to take it on I got that wrong today and I got this wrong today.
He's down to earth.
Hang on. He can float between a back three and a back four, right? Or back five, whichever way you want to call it. He has proven that he can upskill players. Look what he's done this year with Damsgaard. Look what he's done this year with Keane Lewis Potter.
Savva, would you acknowledge just quickly, so I'm not trying to cut in, that with Ange, there's known, like we know what we've got with Ange, right? And it's not good enough in many people's eyes in many different ways. With Thomas Frank, and I think you can make the same argument for a bunch of different managers that have done very good jobs with limited resources at smaller clubs. There's a never-ending list of managers that have taken teams that are relegation threats, made them stable, then kicked on a little bit, but hasn't really taken them to the next level because it's difficult for them to do it with the resources they have. So you give them a tick for doing well with what they have, but there are unknowns with Thomas Frank. There are unknowns at that level, right?
There was unknowns with Pochettino, though. There was unknowns with
Pochettino.
Pochettino's
the one guy that did actually get closest.
Unknowns with Martin Jol, and those three for me have been the best managers we've had in the Premier League era. So
I'm not saying that there are reasons not to have him, but there are reasons to pause and go, is it worth the rolling of the dice?
I understand that. You need more coaches. So
hang on, let me finish my point, guys. Let me finish my point. I understand that, but for me, I look at a manager like Frank, and I think there's so much to admire and like about what he does. Right? I mean, there's so much to like and admire. And for me, I think this club, we need a manager that can unite everyone. And what I mean by that is there are some people that love when Ange has these fights with the fans. And yeah, fair enough, they had a go at him. There are others who think it's disgusting and completely unrespectful. This manager, Frank, if he came in, by the way, I'm just going by that report, by the way. I'm not sitting here going, it has to be Thomas Frank. I'm just going by that report, right?
Yeah.
Thomas Frank won't come out in the media every day and say ridiculous things. Thomas Frank's not going to come out in the media and promise title challenges, then tell us he doesn't want to make substitutions because we didn't deserve a point. He's not going to come out and have a go at the fans. He's not going to be rude to the reporters. He's going to be respectful of us as fans. This man is a coach. This is a coach. And I think more than ever, if you watch Tottenham play, remove the elation of the cup win, this team is crying out to be coached. The Archie Grays, the Bergvals, the Moores, the Papa Sarrs, the Adogis, they are crying out for a coach that can develop them, right? For me, Ange doesn't do that. And this is the problem. When we're saying, yes, he's earned the right to stay, fine. But then if we get a further year down the line and these young players are still not developing, still not being coached, that's on us for wanting him. But what, hang on, sorry, Ronnie, why would Frank not take us higher than 10th? Why would he be able to take Brentford to 10th with a limited resource and players on 25 grand a week, but with players of the ilk of Kulusevski, James Maddison, Bentancur, Romero, Van der Ven, he wouldn't be able to get higher than 10th? Why? Make that make sense. Why?
Do you think he's got the draw to be able to, if our big name players, which is what we're hoping to, like a couple of marquee signings, is that the name that's going to be able to attract a player from Europe like Xavi would?
Why does he need big name players, though? That's the thing. Why did he need big name players?
Because Tottenham fans have been crying out for years to actually step up and act like a big club, right?
But my point is, though, why does he need big players? He can coach players to make them big players. That's the point I'm making. We've got young players there that need coaching at the moment. And to your point, saying, why are we just going for what is his name? Thomas Frank, right? This is where my argument is earlier. Why are we not looking further afield to other coaches that are unknown? If you're unsure about
Deserby, by the way, but just quickly on the argument of like, you look at what he's done, look at what Tom. And by the way, I'm not against Thomas Frank. He's just not necessarily like he's not. If that's the direction of travel, then I'll get on board it. It's fine. I'll give anything a chance, right? But there's like I say, there's other names out there of that similar ilk. Look at like Ben Jacobs came out this morning saying that Tottenham are very interested in looking at Deserby, who took Marseille, who last season underperformed and finished 8th. He took them back to 2nd in the Ligue 1 last year. And they still finished 25 points behind PSG. So it was a one-horse race again. But, like for me, I sit there and kind of go like, is this what we're going to end up like rolling the dice on. And by the way, Daniel Levy is in a fucking ridiculously hard spot here. It's rocking a hard place, because if he gets, like, the only way Daniel Levy comes out of this with any credibility is whatever decision he makes, stick or twist. The only, like, if we start the season bad, he's in the mud regardless. If he sticks with Ange and we start the season badly, then everyone's going to say, why didn't you? The evidence was there for us all to see. Why didn't you sack him? And if he changes the manager and brings in Frank or anybody else, and we start the season badly, then the fan base will say, why did you sack the guy who won us your biggest trophy in 40 years?
Sean, we've got, but we shouldn't be starting a season badly with the squad that we've got. I've been a big component all year, Sean, that when people are telling me, I'm not saying you've said this, I understand the hypothetical you're posing. When this year people have been telling me, oh, but Ange hasn't got the squad, I'm looking at the players in our squad and going, really?
Yeah, the squad's far better than people give it credit for.
We haven't got the players to be top half of the table and in that European competition. So for me, there's people in the chat going, oh, if Frank comes in, he'll be shambolic. Why? When have Brentford ever been shambolic? And Brentford don't have the squad we have. Brentford have got Vissa and Mbeumo, but Vissa and Mbeumo, when Thomas Frank bought Vissa and Mbeumo, who had heard of them?
Nobody.
No, and now they're banging in 20 goals in a Premier League season, right? Because this is a coach. This guy gets his team well drilled, well set up. If I'm not wrong, haven't they just scored more goals than we did? For everyone talking about attacking football and how negative Thomas Frank is, Brentford have scored 66 goals. The only clubs in the league that have got more goals than them are Newcastle, City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So we talk about negative football. Thomas Frank can't do it. Why? Why can't Thomas Frank do that? Are we purely being elitist, looking at Brentford and going, he can't do it at a bigger club?
I think with what Sean said there again, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one again, on the aspect of, I think Levy is actually probably impossibly the hardest decision, whether it's morally correct or what's right for the club or the business, whatever way you want to put it, that he has possibly had to make in football since sacking Poch.
I can't believe I'm hearing this.
I think for Levy, he is in the hardest situation personally. In the aspect of
how?
Let me explain it. Because he's just, I can't use the word I want to use, but no matter which way he does this, he's going to get it in the neck one way or the other.
Is he a businessman then? Is he a business?
Alex, let me finish. He's either going to cop it big time in the short run in the neck, or he's going to cop it big time in the long run in the neck. Whatever decision he goes and makes right now, he's going to cop it one way or the other. Just as bad either way. If he sacks Ange now, there's going to be a lot of people who turn on him even harder than they ever have done before for this reason, that reason. Okay. If they don't sack him, there's going to be a lot of people that turn on him. If he does and it goes right, if he does and it goes wrong, it's his job. It's what he's got to do. And this is what I'm saying. He has now got to do what is correct for football, not what is correct for people's morals, this and that. I'm just agreeing in the aspect of he's in a proper catch-22 situation. Well, he's
not in the catch-22
because certain ways.
Yeah, but if he doesn't make an emotional decision, he's not in the catch-22. As a businessman, that's
what I'm talking about.
As a businessman, you don't make emotional decisions. You make business decisions.
I agree with that.
If you're going to start to talk about morals, if you want to talk about morals, like sacking Martin Yeo, sacking Martin Yeo at half time, that's morals. That's morals. Okay, that's really good morals, isn't it? Sacking the manager at half time, isn't it? Yeah, that's really good morals. Agreeing. When you're sacking a manager just before a cup final, yeah. So I'm sorry. This thing about morals, I heard it on your show, Dan. Yeah. Right. Luckily, Mr. Box Office wasn't there because he would have ripped it to shreds.
I don't dig morals, mate. I don't dig morals.
I know that. But there was couple of people saying about morals, and I was would have ripped it to shreds. Yeah. Right. Because honestly, right, we talk about morals. Right. I'm sorry. He's a businessman, right? And the businessman will use instinct. I can't believe I'm saying this.
It's a dog world, Alex, is what it is.
Dog world. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know where we're going with this. Yeah. Right, the
That's
fact
all I'm
is,
saying, Alex, is
he's
the fact of no
17.
matter what decision he makes right now, he's going to cop it in the neck, which he
I
should
don't think he
cop it and it
cares.
shouldn't bother
I
him.
don't think he
He
cares.
don't care. He don't
No,
care.
I don't
I'm
think
just
Daniel Levy
saying,
cares about that
whether
one
he
bit.
cares or not is not what I'm saying. It's
Yeah, I
not
get
what I'm
you.
actually
Yeah,
saying.
but of course,
I'm just saying,
it's
no
what you're
matter-
saying, Dan. Because Dan, when you're saying Levy's got a tough decision to make, if Levy sacks him, come on, Daniel Levy's made
Levy
loads
shouldn't
of
care.
unpopular decisions, and he's
Of
still
course.
there, still doing his thing. I will
Of
be
course.
over the moon with Daniel Levy for 24 hours if he sacks this man. I will be over the moon
Get the
with
right
Daniel
man in.
Levy.
So
Get
do
the
I.
right
And I'm
man
not
in. There's no
saying
point sacking him not getting the right man in.
That's all I'm saying is it's a situation. Not that he does care, not that he should care, not what I don't really care about the moral side and everything else. You know that. I'm just saying, no matter what this man does right now, he's basically fucked if he doesn't and fucked if he does.
Well,
Unless we kick it out of the park. If he sacks him or if he keeps him, whichever decision he makes, if we start next season with whoever is in charge and we win 7 out of the first 10, then he'll get a reprieve. No one's going to give him a pat on the back because it's a well done for doing your job. But
Yeah.
I completely agree with Dan. It's one of those things where the likelihood is it's not going to work out and he's going to get the heat. In the small chance that we have a absolute gangbuster start to next season, then he won't get the pat on the back anyway.
What if that was Glasner though, Sean? What was that?
Hang on, just quickly before. Can I just ask? This is where we're at. I'm seeing a lot of comments like this, right? First and foremost, when we're saying could set us back 5 years, I hate to break this to people. I hate to be the bearer of all of you who have been asleep for the last year. We're 17th in the Premier League. How on earth could this manager set us back 5 years? We're 17th in the Premier League. We've just had our worst ever league season. How on earth could this manager set us back 5 years? What does that mean, guys? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Our standards are in the gutter, Matt, because people like you praise Ange every day, even when he loses every week in the league. So you've got the cheek to come on here. Now, Matt, I've clipped something you just posted as well, by the way, Matt, because you come in here and go, Savva, you know what I say. I've just taken a photo of something you've said, Matt, right? And I'm going to hold you to this because you say to me every day, I don't care who the manager is. I'm giving every manager that joins 3 to 5 years. They deserve it. You've just said publicly, and I've got the photo saying, I can't get behind Thomas Frank if he's the manager. Which one is it? You said every manager needs 3 to 5 years. Now suddenly it seems that it is Ange that you love and not just the Spurs managers. You love Ange. Sorry, game, set, match, mic drop, been exposed as a massive troll. See you later. As you were, lads.
But just to Sean's point, though, you're saying that if a manager doesn't do well in the next first 10 games, right, the fan base will go off. What if that's Glasner? Because Glasner didn't do well in the first 10 games. Look what happened to him after the end of the season. He's won the FA Cup and done well.
Mate. It'll be exactly the same thing. Tottenham fans that want Ange in right now will turn around and say, "Why the f did you sack our most successful manager of all time?" Because it's just the emotions of football and the human condition is always a "what have you done for me lately?" and recency bias. Right? People just lean into whatever is happening today. They forget what happened yesterday very quickly. But like the chairman is always a dartboard, isn't he? Like it's always a target on his head because he's like the invisible enemy or the somewhat invisible enemy that, you know, the boogeyman. And I'm not just saying this about people that are leaving. I just mean generally people will always turn around and will criticize the guy at the top because there's perfection expected. Anything other than perfection is unacceptable. And perfection itself is really just well done for doing your job. So
give him no credit when it goes right either.
However we start next season, if it doesn't start well, Daniel Levy, whatever decision he will make, will have the fan base on him. And if we start well, he won't even get the credit for the change or the decision to stick with him. For most, it will just be well done to the manager, well done to the players.
I'm not criticizing I'm not criticizing Daniel Levy here. I would criticize if he sacks him and gets in a coach again. I can't criticize him because he's doing what I want. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, Alex,
right?
we need a coach. So badly we need a coach.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. This is why Savva, I'm so passionate about it because I've not gone to games because this guy's just drowned the life out of me, right? So this is how passionate I am. I don't go games anymore, right? I can't be asked anymore, right? So this is why I feel the way I feel at the moment. It's just for me, like Daniel Levy doing what he does, if he does what he does what I want, I can't complain at Daniel Levy anymore. You know what I mean? Because at least he's doing exactly what I want. I want a coach.
Because he's doing what you want him to do, which is right for the football club, not what is morally correct, which we know the man doesn't have morals anyway, usually.
Exactly.
Yeah. But people asking him,
he stuck with
going on
as well.
about him.
He stuck with Postecoglou as well. That's the thing as well, which I wanted.
With him as well. The other thing I'll say with him as well is he was getting all the stick at the end of the day for how bad Ange is and everything else and hanging on to him and not being Levy. Well, he actually went against everything he usually does. Ange won us a Europa Cup and deserves a chance, so some say. Yeah. Then Levy's got to get credit for that as well, as far as I'm concerned, the way I look on things.
I was saying the same as you.
On that side, on what I'm saying is, in that aspect, this is where Levy is always screwed if he does and screwed if he doesn't. I don't want him as the owner of the club, but no matter what he does, he never gets the credit for anything good and he gets slammed for everything bad. It's got to work both ways for me.
Can I make a point here? I want to talk about the Thomas. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat trying to compare Thomas Frank to managers, and I genuinely don't think people do that homework. So there's one bloke who's constantly going, "Oh, he's just Alan Kirbishley." Let me tell you, as someone that worked for Alan Kirbishley, I can tell you that Thomas Frank and Alan Kirbishley are nothing alike. Yeah, Alan Kirbishley is not a coach, right? I worked for Cheltenham for a number of years. Alan Kirbishley is not a coach; he is a manager. He was not out on that training ground, right? Absolutely revolutionizing the way they played. He had very good coaches that did that for him. Alan Kirbishley was a brilliant man-to-man motivator. Alan Kirbishley knew that club inside out. Everything went through him. He could get players to the club, but he wasn't a tactical genius. When Alan Kirbishley got Cheltenham into the Premier League, absolutely brilliant. They were very yo-yo. Thomas Frank has got Brentford into the Premier League and they've not left it. As far as I can remember, Brentford have not been relegated. Somebody can tell me different. I don't think they've been relegated since he got them back into the Premier League, right? He's kept them there. Second of all of this, he hasn't got European experience. All right. What about Eddie Howe? Eddie Howe took the job at Newcastle United, right? No European experience at all from any of his coaching career. Came in. He's got them 2 top 4 finishes, 2 Champions League finishes, two finals, 1 trophy win, coaches brilliantly. So I feel like we're backing ourselves into a corner where if we're only going to take people that tick every box on this metric, I feel like we're missing a point. Pochettino, did he have any European experience from managing Southampton and Espanyol? He didn't. He comes in, he took us deep into European competitions. So I feel like these people haven't got, for every if you're looking at managers that took teams from nowhere and took them to the knocking on the door of the promised land, Pochettino came closer than anyone else. But there are a long list of managers that have also moved to bigger name clubs and then failed, haven't they? Sure there are. But again, right now you're seeing a trend where it's actually going the other way, right? Where there's a lot of lesser managers, so-called, that are coming into the Premier League and coaching very, very well. When you're saying Eddie Howe is levels above Thomas Frank, I remember when we were linked with Eddie Howe, roughly the same time Newcastle were linked with Eddie Howe, and everyone was going, he's shit, I don't want Eddie Howe, he got Bournemouth relegated. Now hindsight is he's levels above him. Levels above him, why? Because he's gone to a bigger club and had an opportunity. So it works both ways. You can go to a club and drown, or you can go to a club and do really well. None of us know that answer.
No, of course, but that is an unknown that has to be factored in, right?
Of course, but if we were going to do that, are any Newcastle fans bothered now that Eddie Howe didn't have any European experience?
No, of course not.
Right?
But again, you're
pointing.
Pochettino didn't. No, of course, but you're pointing to the success stories. But like I say, there's lots of failed stories as well. So I'm just saying that it doesn't matter what any of us think. That Daniel Levy has to chew over that reality of what's the risk reward of rolling the dice. And like I say, I'm happy if it's Thomas Frank, it's fine. It's just not for me. Like if we're looking at who's your number one choice, Savva, is it Thomas Frank? Given what's realistic.
No, I think the ones I've always said I would like would be someone between Glasner, Xavi, Iriola, or Frank. I want a coach. We've got it. When I watch Tottenham, Sean, The overwhelming feeling I get every game is we are not coached. This is not. This is a team of moments that produce moments for the players, never through his tactical ability. Right? I want a manager where I go, I know how we're going to set up today. I know that if we're playing a team with top wingers, I know my manager is going to have a plan for said tactic. I know that if we're playing a team with two up top, I know my manager can say, you know what, we'll go to a back three today to combat their two strike. We don't have that. We have a guy that come rain nor shine in the Premier League, does the same thing. It loses. And then these fans, the fans like the Mats and these people in the chat, absolutely love Ange for it, but want to belittle people like Frank, who is adaptable and done a brilliant job with tiny resources. Ange came from Celtic, right? With European experience, right? 2 games a week, and he's not been able to cope. He's not been able to cope with 2 games a week. So I'm not going to believe that Frank can't cope when Ange couldn't. I'm not going to believe that. So he's not my number one, Sean, just to put it out there. But if I woke up tomorrow and they announced Thomas Frank as manager, I think that's somebody that will get the fans. It may not be immediately, Sean, because all these Ange fans will hate him immediately. I think over time, we will all learn to go, I really, really, really respect our manager in the
I think the fans that are Ange will quickly move on. Until it doesn't work out. Some of them are... until it doesn't work out, and then they'll be right back on.
I didn't like
that is exactly it. That is exactly it, doesn't it? If it all starts going right, a lot of Ange people will shut up, and it's going. The second it goes wrong again, or it goes wrong for say 3 games or something, you're going to have a lot of Ange lot all of a sudden jumping out of nowhere who haven't said nothing for 3 months.
Yeah,
that is Tottenham down to a T. Not just football. That is Tottenham are probably the worst for it.
I didn't like Pochettino at first when he came in. I didn't think he was any good at all. Like I said before, I'm repeating myself again. But like I said, there were certain things that happened throughout the first season, towards the end, and then second season, and that showed me that we're developing.
You see, Frank. The way I look on Thomas Frank is exactly of what I look on Poch was before he came to us. Exactly the same sort of. You can definitely see there's a good coach there. Look at what he was already pulling off at Southampton when they were not good at all. You can definitely see there's a good manager. Can he take it to another level? Only time will tell. You'll need to see it.
Exactly. And the thing is, though, unfortunately...
So this is why I would not say no to Frank at all, because I see in that manager there is a very good coach there, in my opinion. But can he do it?
You have to see.
You can only... You have to see
over time. You have to see over time. But look, unfortunately, with Ange, I've seen it over time now. I can't see it after the last 2 years, and I can't change my opinion on it anymore. So, and I don't see anything changing because he's not changing anything internally in terms of his coaching staff or anybody else to make it better. So, like, I'm not saying that Thomas Frank is going to be my first choice, no. But I mean, if he's a coach, and what we're seeing, we'll see over time. In next season or so, even if we're struggling, we'll see players improving, and then hopefully, I'm not saying that we're going to win trophies, but at least we're not going to be 17th. You know what I mean? And that's where I'm at the moment. It's like you can't play 2 games a week. That's a massive issue for me with this manager as well. You know what I mean? And he's making some of the excuses as well. You know, and
Henry's come out with a video saying that Ange has been sacked.
Who has?
Henry.
There's a lot of new. I'm looking at it at the moment.
Is that the most ferocious clickbait I've ever seen, or is that actually legit? We just don't know.
Probably, but just looking on the net in general, the news is coming up more and more that they think he's going to get the sack.
I mean, listen,
clickbait, Henry. You gotta love it. You gotta love this. You gotta love the grift.
If Romano and all them lot have not got it yet, I doubt Henry's got it. But listen, fair play to him. Let me ask the question then. What big players want to sign for Angepostecoglou? Kolo Muani turned us down. Tamori turned us down. Doué turned us down.
Someone else turned us.
So when you're saying what big players want to sign for Frank, name me a big player that Ange has signed in his career. Oh, wait. Here you go, everybody. What's the best player Ange has ever signed?
Maddison.
Good question. Madison, maybe, yeah.
Come on, guys. The best player that Ange has ever signed in his career. So,
Van
Matt,
de
you've
Ven.
got to think. You've got to think. When you say these things,
Mickey
think
Van de Ven, right?
first. Huh?
Mickey Van de Ven?
He wasn't a top
What,
really player,
a
though.
21-year-old from like if we're going, he said, what big players? Mickey Van de Ven wasn't a big player. He was a young player
Oh,
coming
I
through
see what
the
you mean.
Dutch
Okay, I see
under
what you mean.
21
Okay.
team.
Yeah.
Madison wasn't a big player as such, but I'd say he's the most established player that you signed, possibly. Unless you want to look at Kulusevski.
No.
So-
It's more Madison. I was only
But do
saying.
you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? By the way, I'm just looking at Brentford, right, under Thomas Frank. Right, Brentford under Thomas Frank. Hang on, where's the league position? Why is he not showing me the league position there? So he bought them up. He bought them up, and now they've been a Premier League team for 4 seasons. 13th, 9th, 16th, and 10th. How many teams come up and go straight back down because they can't coach? This man's
one of
bought
the
them up.
hardest things to do. That's probably
He lost Watkins. He lost Tony. He's lost Raya. He loses all these big players, still keeps going. I think we're belittling a very good coach here. A very good coach.
I mean, that is a very hard thing to do. To bring a team up and then keep them consistently up for the next season is one thing, but then to keep them up for the next 3 or 4 seasons, that ain't easy. And Brentford ain't no big club at the end of the day. It's nothing what people would say disrespectful. Let's be real out there. Like money wise and everything, club size in the world and everything else. That deserves some respect. Or do you only get respect now because you've won something?
Right. But
that
this is my
takes
point.
a good manager. That takes a good manager to do that. A good coach who can adapt with what he's got and play with the cards he's got. But people don't seem to give respect to people that do that. For me,
honestly, I've never seen so many good coaches get disrespected. I genuinely don't know how anyone watches Frank and what he's done at Brentford and can turn around and go, oh, this guy will set us back 5 years. This guy's dreadful. This is terrible. Whilst watching Ange Postecoglou lose 22 Premier League games in a season. The hypocrisy of it, Dan, is mental.
I mean, if he say takes over and gets us 10th, no, I won't be happy with the season, but it will be the same as the season before in the aspect of where with Ange, I wasn't Ange out totally at the end of the season. That as it came into this season, I was Ange out fully. But I just didn't see him adapting, and I could already see that. But you're going to have to give him time to settle in like you do with any manager. It's just the thing is, Ange has had 2 years now, and we have just regressed in every which way, except we've won a cup.
But look at the way we talk about people like Frank. Listen, our fan base, right? Let me sum up our fan base in one sentence, guys. Don't worry that we finished 17th. We won a trophy. I'll happily finish 17th every year if we win a trophy. Oh, I don't want Thomas Frank. What? But you're happy to finish 15th or 17th every season.
I don't want Leroy Sane. I'd rather have Tell.
Yeah, I don't want Leroy Sane. I'd rather have like what? I genuinely don't think as a fan base we actually know what we want, do we? We are all over the place as a fan base. No names, all of us. I think we're all over the place, and I think we need a guy who can bring this back to somewhat gelling us.
I agree.
Lads, I'm sorry, mate. I've got to jump. Bugsy's going mental downstairs about something. I'll see you soon. Yeah, thanks for having me. See you guys.
Laters. Basically, stability, Savva, is what we need back at this club in a big way.
Massive.
Not one or the other or this or that. We need overall stability. And I do think Frank, he wouldn't be my first choice, but I do definitely see a Poch-style coach there.
I don't think it really matters
about people are saying. We need a coach.
I don't think it really matters about stability with the coach. I think it's more stability with the director of football, which is very, very important for me. And that needs to be consistent. But this is where I go down to the whole thing about I don't want another Watford. No, I don't want another Watford. No, I definitely don't want another Watford. But I definitely want. I need somebody. I need stability in terms of what sort of coaches we go for all the time. It's got to be similar, you know, that is going to be able to improve these players, regardless whether they are and have a way of playing similar, so we can continue our development. You see what I'm saying? But I just, unfortunately, I think this is where Tottenham Hotspur fell massively at the end of the day. You know, I think that we're just conditioned that we need, you know, we need to have stability, and stability is never looked as in the backroom staff and director of football. It's not. It's just looked as the coach has to stay for 5 years. Well, not every coach needs to stay for 5 years. They don't have to stay for 5 years. They can stay for about 2 or 3 years, and then they can be moved on, and you get somebody else to carry on the program. You can do this.
Same as with a player. You get a player, he does well for the next few years, but then if you get the option of getting a better player that's going to improve your 11, you then go and get the better player over him. Yeah. And you don't do it out of morals because he's been good for the past 3 years. You've got the better player, you progress. That is how you do business and sport. Like I say, it's a dog-eat-dog world. I don't care if a player's been good for us for 9 years or whatever. If he's not good enough anymore, I'm dropping him. Whereas again, you will have a lot of people will say, give people new contracts or keep them out of morals again.
They're the 5th top goal scorers in the Premier League, Matt. So when you're saying boring and pragmatic football, does that you've loved Ange all year? They've scored more goals than us, and they're 7 places higher up the table than us. So doesn't that mean that your manager plays boring, pragmatic football as well?
And look what style of football won us a cup.
Exactly.
But again, Dan, I don't think people watch these teams. I don't think people watch the likes of Brentford. When they're saying boring and pragmatic, what they mean is Brentford have just had, if I'm not wrong, the best away record in the country for the last 6 months. Let me double check this, right? Let me double check this, because I feel like now what you're seeing is, everybody, people like Matt in the chat, you're seeing that he's lied all year. I'm not an Ange fan. It's not about that. It's about whoever's at Spurs, give them 3 to 5 years. Now that it's possibly not Ange, suddenly, it does matter who the manager is at Spurs. It does matter. Yeah? It's absolutely, they're all the same. All the Ange fans are now dismissing Frank. Right? They'll do the same to Xavi. They'll do the same to all of them. They'll just dismiss them all because their name isn't Ange. So they've lied all years. And then here's the fraud again. Here's a fraud. What's hypocritical is that the fair weather fans, mate, you're a fucking idiot. Grow up. You're an idiot. You're an idiot, Sean, and you bottled it. Everyone saw you. You absolutely bottled it, mate, when I gave you the link. I gave you the link the other day. You bottled it. You bottled it now. Are you going to come on? Let this sink in. That the fair weather fans, what does that mean? Mate, I've supported Spurs for 40 years. Why am I a fair weather fan? Unlike you absolute fucking fraud, right? Would rather finish in the top 4 for the next 20 years and not win a trophy. Who said that? Sorry, no one ever said this. These are lies from these idiots like Sean. I think, Sean, are you okay? You're the full ticket. Because if you're going to come onto my show and lie, I'm going to call you out publicly like this. I'm going to call you out. No one has said anything that you're saying here. Have they, guys? Has anyone said this? No.
No.
Right?
No
one said it, Sean. You're a fraud. You came on before and told me we were going to finish top half of the table when the players get back fit. That didn't happen. And now you're lying again. So again, here's the link for Sean, right? He won't come on. We know he won't come on because he's an absolute fraud. Let's bring him on. Be a man and come on back up and tell me who said we'd be happy with top 4 for 20 years and no trophy. Come on and show me. There's the link. Look, I've put it in loads of times. Just Sean, no one else. Yeah?
No one has said, I didn't say
lies,
that I would rather we finish 4th for how many years and not get a trophy. What I did state is if we got 4th for the next 20 years instead of 10th for the next 20 years and got us, say, 7 trophies, sadly, finishing the 4th would still progress us and keep us up there further as a club, just not in the cups. No one said, I want to just finish 4th. I want 4th and a cup or top 5 and a cup. I want both. I'm greedy. I'm happy that we've won a cup, but I ain't satisfied. I want more. I want progression. And for me, Ange is not the progression.
It's just unbelievable. I just can't have the people lying about what's not been said. I see this on so many other channels, Dan, where they go, "Oh my God, Savva said he doesn't care about trophies." Like, whoa. Sorry, what? Oh, Savva said he'd rather fourth than the trophy. No. What Savva says is it shouldn't be either or. Right?
Yeah.
What Savva said is you aren't going to win a trophy every year. Right? You're not going to. We know that, guys. No one wins a trophy every year. So if you're not going to win a trophy, you've got to finish as high up the table as possible to give you as much revenue as possible to pay wages and buy footballers. I don't think that's mad. I think that's common sense, isn't it, Dan? With how football has gone. You've got to make revenue. It just makes sense.
Again, it comes to that word of should. It shouldn't be like that.
He's at Brentford.
But it is like that. Would you out of a question then, yeah? What do you think Brentford would rather do for the next 5 years? Finish in the top 4, top 5 and get Champions League, or carry on what they're doing and win 3 FA Cups? Now, for the morally correct side and everything, and what should be, yes, they want the FA Cups. But if they wanted to actually progress as a club and actually get bigger, what would the actual club itself need
Champions
more?
League.
More finance, Champions League. You've got to get
sadly,
finance into football clubs.
Nottingham Forest
And
look very
how do you
frustrated.
usually, bar this season, which has been a bit of a freak season overall, how do people get to the top? Money. And obviously money well spent. Man City did not get there. I mean, obviously they got there they made good buys, whatever, but they spent big money. Chelsea became who they are because of big money. Barcelona stayed there over the years with Real Madrid and that, through also bringing in players on Barcelona, but also buying the biggest players out there. That's how, if you don't spend the money, it's very rare you get to the top and stay there. You might have a good season like this season where 3 cups who just were teams that were expected to win nothing won a cup. But usually who wins that League Cup? Usually who wins that FA Cup? That's usually
Nottingham
City.
Forest are very frustrated at the moment because they were in the Champions League spots, weren't they? And they didn't get Champions League. And look where they've came from. They were like bottom half, weren't they? So, you looked at the owner. He was not happy that they fell off like a cliff and only got Conference League, weren't they? Yes, they got Europe, but they were very keen on getting Champions League, and that was Nottingham Forest with their squad that was supposedly better than our squad, which I don't think would. No, we've got a better squad than Nottingham Forest.
Sure,
you know what I mean. So this is the thing. So this is the thing I'm saying at the moment, and I think it's an interesting one for me. This whole room. Apparently, we're in talks with Thomas Frank. Does that mean that Johan Lang has got an influence on who is coming in? And is he ending up staying then? Because I don't look at Thomas Frank as somebody that Paraty would be looking at. You see what I'm saying? So it's a very interesting.
Fair point. I don't know.
It's a very interesting development. But by the way, Alex, can I just say, because I know how this will be spun by people because they lie. I've never ever said Thomas Frank is my first choice to take the job at Tottenham.
No,
right? I've never ever said that. You guys have heard me all season.
You said Glasner.
Glasner, Iriola, Xavi, Holness. Yeah. I think there's managers all over. All I'm saying is, if Spurs did bring in Frank, there's no part of me that will go, what? No. Because he is a coach. He knows the Premier League. I've seen what he's done with people like Damsgaard, Visser, and Buemo. Right? Let's look at Brentford's back 3. Right? Vandenberg, Collins, and Pinnock. If I had said to anyone, Alex, that Tottenham Hotspur's back 3 was going to be Vandenberg, Pinnock, and Collins, everyone would go, they're rubbish, they're mad. This is what these fans are judging him against. He is working wonders with players that our fans would never have wanted. He's working wonders with these teams. Bearing in mind, we've got fans that are telling us, remember, Alex, that Archie Gray gets into that Brentford team, right? Right. So that's what he's working with, apparently. All I'm saying is sometimes you need the unglamorous name that's just going to do the obvious things well. Right? It doesn't mean if Thomas Frank joins, he has to be here for 5 to 10 years.
No, he doesn't.
Like Dan said, sometimes you get the manager, he comes in, does a job for 2 years, you go somewhere bigger. You go get someone bigger. By the way, Man United have just signed Mateus Cunha. Done deal. All done. Man U have signed Cunha. But the point is, Alex, when you've got a manager that year in, year out loses his top players, right? He's lost. Now, again, people won't listen to me on this, but when we lose Kane, everyone loses their marbles, right? And they still talk about it 2 years later. This man lost Tony, who was their version of Kane, right? He was their top striker and their best player. They've replaced him wonderfully within the squad they already had, right? Damsgaard last year, this guy's a flop. Young player comes to the league. This year, looks brilliant. Loads and loads of assists. Right, the goalkeeper, who they've just sold to buy Leverkusen this morning for £10 million, right?
Oh, you've been sold?
Yeah, Flecken, right? So all of these things he does, he coaches well, he buys well, he sets his team up well. In the face of adversity at losing players, he does well. And yet everyone's just going, oh, what do you see in Frank? What do you mean? Well, what do you see in Ange? Ange can't do any of those things I just mentioned. And I'm going to tell you this. Tell me if you agree, guys. If Ange was the manager this season of Brentford, they'd be relegated the way Ange plays.
Yeah.
100%.
They'd be there's the difference.
He'd be sacked.
I feel Frank would have had the capability to get us, let's say, I'm not going to exaggerate it, let's say as top 10 and win that Europa Cup. As far as I'm concerned, that Europa Cup, Ryan Mason could have got us to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Our fan base isn't miserable, Enigma. We finished 17th in the Premier League, had our worst ever Premier League season, mate.
We want progression.
We want progression. I don't want one good cup run. I want to know why this manager couldn't do anything.
Savva predicted us winning the bloody Europa League like me. So how is he miserable? How is he miserable? Like, I'm not being funny. He predicted we were going to win. So how is he miserable? Some people were saying that we weren't going to win it. We're saying we're deluded. So I don't know why you're saying he's miserable.
By the way, Jay Spurs, he lost Ollie Watkins, went out and scouted, got Tony. He lost Tony. Yeah. This year, he's had to use Vissa and Mbuemo. They've got 40 or 39 Premier League goals between them? Why would I look at this as a coach and go, I don't want that at my club? Same with Glasner. How many of you are turning your nose up at Glasner? How many of you turn your nose up at Xavi? These managers do really, really well, and we just turn our noses up. Our manager finishes 17th with our worst ever Premier League finish. And people then call fans like me. I've got idiots like that Sean bloke, not Sean Butler, idiots like that Sean bloke who's probably supported Spurs for 3 years telling me I'm a fair weather fan. I've got a YouTube channel about the football club. Fair weather fan over here. Madness.
I actually said at the start of the season, I think he's got the capability of winning a cup this year. It's just in the league, it ain't going to work with him. I said that at the very start of the season. That his tactics can win a cup. Any tactics can win a cup. That's my point, basically, on the day, and they did. But over a league, it was not going to succeed.
And again, have a look at Chelsea. Chelsea would win titles and Champions Leagues and cups, and still the manager gets sacked. They go again. It gave them 20 years of unrivaled success. Tottenham win one trophy, and suddenly we don't want better.
Di Matteo won the Champions League, and he had the first part of the season. They did badly. He got rid of him. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you know, like I say, it's like, what do you want? You see what I'm saying? It's like you're saying to us to give him a few weeks, right? So if you want to give him a few weeks, you don't believe in the manager. You don't believe in Angepostecoglou. So what's the point of keeping him then? You get what I'm saying?
If you're saying give him 10 games,
give him a new contract then. Give him a new contract.
And then stick with him thick and thin through the season then, if that is your attitude. If you're saying, well, give him 10 games. If you don't give it 10 games, then I'll agree Ange out. You're basically saying throw the next season for a chance of 10 games. You're saying that you haven't got faith in it. If someone's truly got faith in Ange They should be sitting here saying, no, he's earned his chance. He deserves his chance. He deserves next season, not 10 games.
Agreed.
I just
Agreed.
ask the chat. I ask the chat, yeah. Do what I'm doing at the moment, yeah. Go and look at coaches and put player development, yeah. Right? And Ange doesn't come up. Ange does not come up on any of those lists, by the way. Right? So just go and look at some managers or coaches that are good for player development, right? And go and see it for yourself, right? And you'll be fascinated by how many managers are coming out the woodwork. Go and look at Spain. Go and look at Holland. Go and look at France. Will Steele's just gone to Southampton, by the way, and he's renowned, and we've been looking at him for quite a while as well. So there's loads of coaches out there that are unknown, right? That some of these small clubs will go and find, right? And then you'll say, where did you find that manager from? Oh, yeah. Oh, we're here from here. So this is what I'm talking about.
But can I just bring up this point? I keep seeing this, right? And again, this fallacy, this is not true. That's exactly why we haven't won anything in ages. We keep targeting top 4 and win nothing. Well, in all those times we've been finishing top 4, we've played in 7 finals. So when you're saying we're not targeting anything, we've played in 7 finals. You can't turn around and say, oh, we don't win anything because we're targeting the top 4. We don't win anything because we flopped in finals. Pochettino had 2 finals. 2, 3, whatever he had. Right? 1, Levy messed up by giving it to Ryan Mason. Glenn Hoddle was in a final. This isn't an either or, but again, it makes you laugh. No one's saying you shouldn't win trophies, but you shouldn't be finishing 17th. Yes, Reezy, but the man finished 17th in the league. Those other managers weren't finishing 17th while getting to finals. Those other managers were managing 2 games a week every week. This man didn't. This man didn't. John George, bang on. 22 losses in 38 games. That's all it comes down to. Look, guys, I need to wrap up the show. I need to do some super chats. Yeah. We've got the Spurs review tonight. That should be lively. Going to a final and not winning. No, randomer. You're missing the point of me saying that. You're missing the point. People can't say we only concentrated on top 4 whilst we were getting to finals. That doesn't make sense. Winning it or not is a different conversation. But we can't say, oh, we concentrated on top 4, which is why we lost that final. This is absolutely mental. It's the same people saying the same shit. Finishing 4th doesn't get you glory. Finishing 2nd is still a loser. The group has tasted success. Now it's time to kick on and stop with this Frank talk. But your manager that you're backing finished 17th. And now you're telling us 2nd is being a loser. Let that sink in.
Well, if
Enigma 93, sorry, what a loser you are. If Spurs finish 2nd this season, are you telling me that's a failed season? If we were to finish 2nd in the league, you think that that's being a loser after finishing 17th? What are we doing here? Who are these nameless, faceless idiots? What are we doing here?
If Spurs finishing 2nd is a loser, then what the hell is 17th? That's a catastrophe.
No difference between 2nd and 17th, Dan. Look at who are these people?
He's asked me a question about
only about 200 million and Champions League places and progress of a club.
Honestly, these people are just so stupid. Yes, Enigma 93. Enigma 93, this man couldn't handle 2 games a week when we were playing teams like Bodo Glimt, Frankfurt, and Alkmaar. What are we doing? What are we doing here? We're getting to the stage where I'm going to stop bringing up people's comments, I think, because people are just getting so silly. So silly. Yeah, so next year, Dan, before we go, just quickly, I'm going to go, right? Next year, when we finish 2nd, I want all of these people, I'm not saying we will, if we finish 2nd, all of these people to come on then and tell me, I will do a show saying, what a dreadful season, Spurs are shit, we're terrible, right?
We're failures.
They'll all be coming in here going, what do you mean? We've just finished 2nd and been in a title race. You can't win, Dan. You can't win. These people are losers. They want to finish 17th in the league. It is mental.
I just think a lot of people don't see the long side of it, basically. Yes, you need to win cups and win things to be an out-and-out winner. I agree. But you've also got to look on it the other side as well with football. You need to be in that top 4, top 5 Champions League place to progress as a club. Otherwise, you ain't progressing. Simple as that. You need both.
See, the thing is, this is where, look, this guy's a child. I can see when he comes in, he's a child. Arsenal finished second, Fry still losers. Sure. But who's sitting in a better position to attack to reach their goals? Is it Spurs or Arsenal? Arsenal have brought in Zubamendi, about to bring in people like Sesko, and they brought in a world-class director of football. Second 3 years in a row shows me they're a bloody good team, right? We're calling them losers for banter. They're a bloody good team.
That they are. Arsenal have failed in the past 3 years because they haven't got a cup to the extent of what they are playing and how they are doing. I get that, yeah. Because when you are big enough to do that and fight for that, yes, you should be getting a cup out of it somewhere and whatever. I totally get that.
Of course.
But that's what we're talking about.
No one's saying that, Dan. No one's saying Arsenal shouldn't have won a trophy along the way.
Exactly.
But
Same as Spurs should have with Poch.
And Dan, I'll end the show on this. As I said to you earlier, the difference between us and Arsenal, right? If Arsenal had got anywhere near 17th, their owners would have pulled the plug on their manager immediately. There's the difference.
I personally think so. I think
our manager was allowed to get to 17th because our fans, like these losers, like Enigma, think, oh, finishing second is bad. Finishing second is bad. Like, let that sink in, guys. Finishing second is bad. Where on earth do we get off this arrogance? Where do we get this from? How long did it... No, randomer, see, how long did he have them 20th for? You mean for like the first 3 or 4 games of a season? They would never let a manager finish 17th, randomer. Let's grow up a little bit. Exactly. Rich, bang on. Thank you, Rich. Bang on, bang on, bang on. Finishing second repeatedly and not winning anything is the anomaly. Normally, teams do win something. Finishing 17th and winning a trophy is also the anomaly. Yes, yes,
Very
yes.
true.
Alex.
Very true.
Oh, actually, let me do the super chats. Yes, thank you. You're laughing at teams that finish second. If we finish second next season, is it worse than this season in finishing 17th and winning a Europa League?
No.
He's another one to ask, Savva. If it would have been 17th in the League Cup, would he be talking?
Yeah, there you go. Enigma. 17th in the League Cup. What are you saying? 17th in the League Cup.
It's purely because this cup got Champions League what turned a lot of people.
And I can't wait for this Ange cult to leave either. I can't. It's got ridiculous. When we finished second under Pochettino, that man was absolutely praised to the hilt, wasn't he, guys?
Yeah. And he did a lot with
Poch's
the
magic,
team as well. Yeah.
right? Look how great we are. Now, anyone else finishes second, doesn't win a trophy, they're shit. We're brilliant. It's too many children. This is the number one prime suspect. Too many children. See, look, you want to go with 17th for the European trophy. Fine, right? Now imagine next season, 17th, and what? The League Cup. What are you going with?
I don't want to.
I just wish people like this grew a pair of balls, put their big boy pants on, gave their real name, came on camera, and would have a discussion. You would rather finish second than win the Europa. Listen to what I'm saying. Again, how do you people spin this? How do you people spin this? Ringo, next year we're not in the Europa. I said if next season we kick on, run up that league table to finish second, is that a bad season? For me, that will show we have improved. Oh my God, overwhelmingly improved. Again, Ringo, I can't do it. I can't do it. These people don't get, again, no name, no real name, guys. Are you seeing it? They're not very clever. Look at this. Another idiot. Faz, another idiot. He's a snake, by the way, this bloke. Absolute snake. Another idiot. Poch 1-0. Give me Poch over Ange any day of the week. Give me Poch's tenure over Ange's any day of the week. I would rather we finish second, because that still would have got us Champions League, and it would have meant that we don't lose week in, week out in the Premier League.
Again, if you offered me 10th place and what happened, then I could accept it for this season.
Sure.
But 17th, I just can't accept the 17th.
We could have got any other season 5 years ago would have got us relegated. 40, not getting past 40 points is unacceptable for a club like Tottenham. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Alex,
I don't care what anybody says.
38 points, and these
Exactly.
fans
You're
arguing
dismissing
how
that.
good that is.
I can't accept. I cannot accept. Right? I don't care if we won the cup and they went and got drunk. I'm sorry. With any pride whatsoever, a club of Tottenham Hotspur sides can't even get 38 points. Right? And the only reason why he had the luxury of going for that Europa League is because none of the three teams were absolutely goddamn useless. Right? He would have to play a full team if Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester City were any close to trying to get going above us, because he can't afford us to get relegated. Right? So I'm sorry, you cannot excuse us not getting 40 points. That is absolutely disgusting.
Alex, it's our worst ever Premier League season that is okay because we beat Bodo Glimt, Alkmaar, Frankfurt, and Man United.
5 years ago, it would have got us relegated, Savva. It would have got us relegated.
Look how we're just now dismissing Poch. Look, Poch failed to win a title.
Poch never got us to 17th and nearly got us relegated.
And Poch wasn't given £400 million in 2 years.
So where we're going with this? This is why I can't. I'm sorry. This is where I can't accept this. Right? So you're telling me to be happy with 17th, and nearly, and because the teams are so goddamn useless, we didn't get relegated. Right? He was allowed to do that. I'm sorry. Daniel Levy is not going to accept that. He's not accepting that. I'm sorry, because if he's accepting that, there's got to be major changes. Because I'm not accepting 17th and us only not getting relegated because the teams were so bad last season. That's why he's allowed to do Europa League. And
I think the other thing is, the last thing I say on it, because I've got to go back to bed, is if this season was such an anomaly as it was, sort of thing, if I could genuinely believe that it would just be this season and that next season we'd be up there again, top five with a cup, fighting for a cup, I could even have a side on me letting this season go as well. I just don't think he's got the capability to do that, and I think we can get a better manager out there who's got more capability to progress us with that, and that is that.
Exactly. Well, look, I'm gonna end this. By the way, just really quickly, last one. So, would you rather be in a top four consistent with no trophy than be bad and win a trophy? I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. Why are we the only club that talk about winning a trophy but finishing low down? Why can't we be the club that says we want to finish in the top four and win a trophy? Why does it have to be either or? It's ridiculous.
Sorry, Savva, SD, just this last thing. Look, SD says, I'm not buying the relegation thing, yeah? Right? That's a load of rubbish, right? I'm sorry. We got 38 points. Right? In any of us 5 years ago, it would have got us relegated. The only reason why he had the luxury is because the other teams are rubbish. But you shouldn't not be. A top manager should have the mentality of saying,
you're a loser, kudos.
Good,
you're a loser.
Not good enough. That is not good enough. How can you accept that just because we won the Europa League? I'm sorry. Like I said with Dan, if it was Carabao Cup, you would still not have the same energy. Because it's Champions League and Europa League, you've got the different energy now.
Alex, I'm going to end the show on this.
I agree.
I'm going to end the show on this, guys. I'll do some super chats. If any fan condones our worst ever Premier League season because of beating Frankfurt, Bodo Glimt, Alkmaar, and Man United, that's on them. Feel free to, right? We can be pleased with the Europa League, but absolutely disgusted with the Premier League at the same time. Two things can coexist together. And all these fans that want to throw hypotheticals of, I don't mind finishing here to win this. That just tells me we are a tiny, tiny football club. It tells me we are a tiny club. Stop asking for better managers. Stop asking for better players. Stop asking for a better chairman. You people are happy to finish 17th. Let that sink in. Big up to Gary Morton Barley, who said Spurs are far more attractive proposition without Ange. Absolutely. Look at the way he plays, Gary. Look at all these people. We get ripped apart week after week after week, and people want to come and play for that. Big up to you. I really appreciate that, Gary. Ali Garcia with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Ali. You're always very generous to me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. Big up to James, who said, has Ange been sacked? No, Ange has not been sacked. It's just a lot of rumours. So an X going wild right now. Football Insider also stating it. Listen, wait for someone reputable to say it, I think is the best rule to live by, my man. Mathieu has said, I still don't understand who's the THFC sport director. Well, it's Lang, isn't it? Lang at the moment is the director of football with Paratici coming in. Tony Rodriguez said, F Ange and his cult followers included. I mean, I won't read that out in its entirety, but Tony, I'll end this and say, I've never, ever, ever seen any Spurs fan say that they'd ever be happy to finish 17th and have our worst ever Premier League season. We seem to have this new influx of fans that like it. And I don't know, the fair weather fans apparently like me, now we're the bad fans because we won't condone that. It's utterly madness. I really wish we could go back to what we used to be. Guys, girls, much love. Here we go. Another lie. No box office. We were safe with 7 matches to go, hence we didn't try more in the league. What a load of nonsense. We didn't try in the league. We've lost 22 games all season. What about the other 31 Premier League games? It's just nonsense. Take care, everyone. See you tonight. Big up Andy Lester for the super sticker. The Spurs review. Myself, the Danalist, Lubo, Johnny, and also Luke. So we've got a good crew for you tonight. Take care. Big up NSG, who said, all I see is just standards from a big club. We should never accept being bad till game week 37 and accept a cup as an apology. Ennis, absolutely. Absolutely, mate. This is what makes me laugh. These fans think finishing 17th is okay. Not having it. Take care, everyone. Much love. And as always, come on, you Spurs.